Lucien POV. The shaman had called me on an urgent basis last night. I didn't want to leave Auren, but I knew that I had to go. He was there to uncover the mystery behind her birthmark, which was very important for me. Every day she was near, my craving deepened. It was like an ache that coiled tightly in my chest. Remus prowled beneath my skin, restless, agitated, demanding what was ours. Her intoxicating scent clung to me like a torment I couldn't escape. I didn't want to escape. When her soft gray eyes looked at me, speaking a silent surrender, it took everything inside me not to give in. It was my fear that gnawed at me. What if she couldn't take my mark? But the need that burned inside me was unbearable. Every second without me marking her felt like a war I was losing. When I reached the Eldermere ruins, I saw that my warriors were standing all around it, their faces etched with tension. The shaman is at the altar, Tarion said as he guided me inside. This was the third time I had come here and couldn't help feeling the familiar, oppressive darkness. It was like it was pressing its cold hands on me. I took a deep breath as I followed Tarion inside. The shaman was standing near the altar, watching something through the dome above it at an angle. "This is what I've been thinking," he murmured. I went to stand near him and looked at the open roof, from where we could clearly see the sky where the moon hung low. It was bizarre how it had golden edges when seeing it from here. It seemed shackled by the thorny vines that surrounded the altar and its columns. Goosebumps lined my skin as it reminded me of Auren's birthmark. "Are you thinking what I am thinking?" the shaman asked. I couldn't even reply. This could be a great coincidence or nothing at all. But I refused to believe that it was nothing. Shaman pointed at the moon. "I was waiting for it to become full before calling you. Can you make out how it looks like it is shackled by the thorny vines? Just like her tattoo, this could be an indication." I stepped closer. "Indication of what?" I asked, my eyes going wide as I studied the pattern. He took a deep breath in. "That Auren is the one. She is key to breaking the curse." I went utterly still. My breath halted, my world shifting beneath my feet. My muscles tensed. "Auren?" I said as my mind warred between hope and fear. I felt violently protective toward her. If she was the answer, then danger lurked closer than I thought. Remus growled inside me, demanding to lock her away, to shield her from my enemies who would stop at nothing. If she was the key, then fate had just painted a bigger target on her back. "How can you be so sure?" I asked, my voice raspy. I called the shaman of the Crimson Howl Pack and asked about Auren. He walked away from me, studying the altar as he circled it. He said that Auren was found at the steps of the Moon Goddess Temple in his pack with a gold chain and a ring. He had given her to a caring couple to take care of her. The couple died while saving their alpha. The alpha was kind enough to allow her to study, but when Alpha Bram took over, her life spiraled down. You know the rest. "She is adopted?" I asked with disbelief. "Yes, she was adopted. The shaman doesn't know where she came from, though. He tried to find her real parents. She has had that tattoo on her back since birth." Apprehensive, he warned her adoptive parents not to reveal it to anyone, because it was a curse. I dropped on my knees, stabbing my fingers in my hair. The Moon Goddess sure knew her way around to bring Auren to me. I don't know why, but the thought made my eyes sting with tears. Auren always belonged to me. "Now," Shaman continued, "this is all a speculation. But chances are that Auren is the one this pack has been seeking to break the curse. That would mean that she has become the prime property of the pack. She should be protected at all costs, and you should mark her as soon as possible." "So what other evidence do you need to prove that it is the truth?" I asked. All I wanted was to go back to her and mark her, to declare the world that she was my mate. Remus was growling in my head to run back to her. "I want to stay back and see something else. For that I need you. You have to open your clothes and sit in front of the altar." "What? Why?" "Because you have the same tattoo she has all over your body." He looked up at the moon. "I can sense spirits here, the shadow wolves. I want to see their reaction to your tattoos. If what I think will happen, then Auren is definitely the one." I clenched my jaw because it was taking all my energy to not run to her. But still, because I wanted to ascertain this finding, I agreed. I opened my clothes and sat in front of the altar, waiting for the shadow wolves to appear. Auren had related to me that they appeared when she was here. I was sure that they would come back. For me. I heard the first hiss in less than an hour. Shadows emerged from the crack in the altar. As Tarian and the shaman stepped back, I stayed there with clenched fists. The shadows morphed into smoky wolves and walked around me, hissing and licking me, entering my mouth and nose. There was oppressive magic in the air, so dark and cold that it felt like it would split my head into two. This was what Auren must have felt. "You rejected the moon bond," they hissed. "We want blood. Kill him. Nakia." The thorns came alive. They crawled on my skin, and then all at once, all of them pricked my flesh. I screamed as pain shot through me. They wanted to punish me, hurt me, feel the pain. Feel Nakia's pain. You are vile. Cursed. My head was swirling with fragments of images I couldn't understand. Excruciating pain shot through me. I couldn't move a finger as the shadows swirled around me, drawing out my blood. "Get him out!" Tarian shouted in fear. "He is in pain." The shaman started chanting incantations. "I command you to leave," he gritted. The shadows lunged at him. "Go, we want blood." Scared, he scrambled back. "Alpha Lucien, only you can come out of this mess," he shouted. "Focus." I didn't know what to do. This was a big mistake. "Auren," I muttered. I saw my blood pooling on the ground, my energy seeping. The shadows wanted to kill me, to wipe out my bloodline. No, I wouldn't go. Not without a fight. I focused on all the happy memories of Auren. I didn't know for how long I sat there, but when the shadows finally retreated, promising they would come again, I was lying in a pool of my blood. I blinked open my eyes to see Tarian's face hovering over me, stricken with fear. It was already a day. "What happened?" I asked weakly. And then I heard a faint tug through my bond. Like Auren was calling me. She needed me. She was in danger. "Lucien POV. I have to go," I rasped as I got up and stood. "Where?" Tarian asked. Based on my instincts, I ordered, "Get the warriors ready. Ask them to search their Luna. Now!" Tarian's eyes widened in surprise. He stared at me and then nodded. As he opened his mind link to convey my orders to the warriors, I tipped my head up to steady myself. I had lost a lot of blood, but I knew that Remus was going to heal me very soon. He hadn't shown himself to the Shadow Wolves because I had instructed him to stay quiet. Else the Shadow Wolves have probed deeper inside me to weaken him. "I need you, Remus," I said to him. "Are you there?" "Yes, I am there," he replied instantly. "Let me take over as you heal," he advised. "I feel Auren is in danger. We have to find our mate." With a glance at Tarian, I walked out of the temple ruins. And as I walked, my wounds started healing up. The pain I felt a few minutes ago because of all the thorns pricking inside my flesh was gone. I was stunned and bewildered to realize just how deep the curse ran through my bloodline. We were all born with these tattoos, but I never knew they were tied to the curse itself. Some alpha must have experienced this in his lifetime, and that's why all the alphas were prohibited from entering the ruins. I rushed out of the temple, and when I was out, I leaped and shifted midair, giving way to Remus. His paws hit the ground with a force that shook the earth beneath him. The moment he landed, he was already moving with his muscles rippling as he shot into the forest with a snarl. Leaves and branches blurred past through him as he weaved through the trees. The bond between Auren and us stretched like a taut wire, pulling me in her direction with an urgency I couldn't define. It was like she was in grave danger. With each breath, I filled her scent in my nostrils, my body. It was faint as I started, but grew stronger. Her pain was so intense through my bond that my chest twisted. Where was she? Where were her guards? What was she doing? A growl rumbled deep in my throat, and when it came out, the roar sent all the beasts in the forest hiding. I opened my mind link with Tarian. "Did they find her?" "She had gone with Julie," he replied. "Vivi said that they have gone to a diner with Julie and 7 other wolves." Suddenly, I remembered the diner Auren was talking about. "Tell the warriors to go to Yo-Yo Diner." I shut the mind link and quickened my pace. The forest roared past me as the winds howled in my ears when I pushed forward, feeling desperate as hell. Remus was faster than any wolf on this soil. He could cover large distances in a few minutes as compared to others who would take hours. My beta, Tarian, was also one of the fastest wolves, but not faster than me. In less than 10 minutes, Remus was standing in front of the Yo-Yo Diner. My guards were lying unconscious, to my utter surprise. I could see through my heightened vision that the diner was empty. There was no soul, even though at this time it was its peak hours. Then I smelled it, blood mixed with her smell. My vision darkened with rage. My Auren was hurt. I let out a vicious snarl and surged forward. This time I wasn't running, I was hunting. The moment I reached the back alley, the metallic scent of blood thickened in the air. Auren stood in the center, surrounded by the wolves, fighting them. Her small body frame was barely holding upright. Her scent was filled with pain, fear, as she murmured my name. Lucien. A raw and thunderous growl ripped from my chest, shaking the air, stopping the wolves. As soon as they saw Remus, they faltered. Their ears flattened, their tails tucked in between legs. No one wanted to be on Remus's shit list, but they forgot that he had cataloged their smells already. I was going to make their families pay for what they did to Auren. Some of them turned and ran in a heartbeat. Fucking cowards. But the ones who stayed made the worst mistake of their lives. In the next moment, Auren went down, falling on the ground with a soft thud, covered in blood. With a feral snarl, Remus lunged at them, his fangs sinking into the first wolf's throat. His body went limp before he could even yelp. The second one didn't have time to react because I raked my claws in his chest, slicing through flesh and bone with ease. Blood splattered against the wall and ground as I ripped them one by one. Once they were all dead around me, Remus let out a roar, challenging anyone who was left. He was mad with fury. "Mate, our mate," I reminded him. He turned to see her. She was lying unconscious. Pain mingled with fury consumed me. I shifted mid-stride and picked her up in my arms. My hands curled around her fragile body as the sight of her nearly sent me to my knees. Auren. Her breaths were too shallow. "Auren," I breathed, pressing my forehead to hers. "Stay with me." Tarion and other warriors arrived. "Fuck!" Tarion was shocked. I could sense his rage. "Chase those who have run away," I growled, feeling her pain through the bond. "Identify all those who did this to her. Bring their families and throw them in the dungeons. I want everyone. Do you understand?" Tarion clenched his jaw. "Yes, Alpha. And find Sable," I added with barely contained fury. "Sable?" Tarion said, but then he sniffed the air and his shock doubled. "That bitch was expelled for 6 days." "Yes, but I can smell her on Auren. Find her, and then fucking throw her in the deepest dungeons we have. I will personally torture her." I reached the hospital in the car and went to the private ward designated only for me. The doctors and nurses came over to attend to us, urging me to give Auren to them, but I didn't let go of her. I lay on the bed with my arms curled around my mate. Dr. Elias was attending us. Any request from them to take her away to a different room was met with a growl. Any attempt to pull her away was met with a snarl. Dr. Elias sighed, but he didn't argue. He worked, cleaning her wounds while I held her close, refusing to loosen my grip. Remus prowled beneath my skin, restless and so protective that he was not willing to let anyone separate us. They left us after attaching her to several machines. I continued to stay with her in that position. When Elias returned, he said, "She's stable now, but you need rest, Alpha." I brushed off golden strands of hair from her face, my jaw clenched at how fragile she looked. My mate, my breath, my everything. "I stay with her," I replied darkly. End of discussion. Auren POV. Heavy darkness descended over me. I didn't know for how long, but I opened my eyes to an endless stretch of white. Wait, was I alive? Or was this a place where wolves went after they died? Everything around me was blinding white. It felt like I was in an ocean of endless white color. I heard a soft chuckle behind me. I whipped my head and found a beautiful woman with silver-gray eyes and unnaturally white hair, smiling at me. She was wearing white robes that seemed to make her float on the clouds. I jumped out of the bed and stared at her, totally mesmerized. "Who are you?" I murmured as I stifled this urge to go to her, merge with her forever. She walked to me and cupped my cheeks. "I'm your mother, Cressida." I gasped as goosebumps crawled on my skin. "My mother?" My breath hitched as shock rippled through me. "But my mother is dead. She died saving her Alpha." She tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear tenderly. "Yes, and this is our home." I looked at the endless whiteness. "Am I dead?" She chuckled. Then she intertwined her fingers with mine and tugged me to walk with her. "You aren't dead, Auren," she replied, "but you are on the verge of it. Your body is still deciding whether to live or die." I stopped as a tear rolled out of my eye. "I don't want to die. I said in a shaky voice. Cressida laughed softly. Why? Aren't you happy to be with your mother? I looked at her again. Her soft face was so beautiful that it was impossible to look away from her. I want to live with you as well. Can you come back with me? I plead. No, Auren, she said. I can't. Remember I died long back? Mother, I started shaking as emotion surged in my body. Tears rolled out in fat droplets. It was a moment of so much love that I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to react, so I just lunged at her and hugged her tightly. Why did you leave me? I muttered. Why? Do you know what all I have gone through? She let me hold her for as long as I wanted. Only when I stopped crying did I leave her. I'm so sorry, Auren, she said, but this is your destiny. You were born to fulfill it. Saying that, she began fading. Mother, I shouted, please don't leave me. I can never leave you, my child, she said. Go back and fulfill your destiny. White smoke curled around her. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. Make me proud, Auren. And the smoke covered her completely. Mother, I tried to clutch her, but all I got was smoke in my hands. I turned to look around as to where she had gone. Inky blackness started merging with the white. No, no, I rasped as I stepped away from it, but it wrapped around my legs and then pulled me into it. My senses flickered again, and when I opened my eyes this time, I heard the sound of beeps. The sharp scent of antiseptic and clean linen stung my nose. Hospital. It was beginning to become one of my favorite places in the world. I tried to move, but my limbs felt like someone had tied them with weights. I felt weaker. Through all the scents of the hospital, I smelled a rich scent of pine and spice. My breath lodged in my throat, and without turning my head, I knew it was Lucien. His warm body was pressed against me, his leg draping my thigh possessively. I turned my head, and my heart raced when I found him asleep beside me. His dark eyelashes would flutter sometimes as if he was dreaming. His lips parted slightly as he breathed in deep. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't rested for days. I didn't have the heart to wake him up, so I watched him as he slept. As if sensing my gaze on him, he fluttered open his eyes, those dark orbs locking onto my gray ones instantly. Heat flared in my heart, but relief flared in his. Auren, he rasped, his voice thick with sleep. Before we knew it, we reached for each other. He pulled me flush against him. He tightened his grip around me desperately, like he was afraid that I would disappear if he let me go. Our lips crashed against each other with unfathomable hunger. He gripped my waist, anchoring me to him. A needy sound escaped my mouth. His tongue delved into my mouth, sweeping, claiming, and devouring me. My fingers grasped his silky hair as he kissed me, as I let him kiss me. His hands roamed around my body as if to feel me, to memorize every inch of me. My skin burned with desire. His scent surrounded me, drowning me in him. He tore away from me, and I whimpered at the loss. He pressed his forehead against mine as his hot breath fanned my face. You scared the hell out of me, he murmured in a rough voice. I swallowed and cupped his face with one hand. I'm here, I whispered. You're mine, he growled and claimed my lips once more. Later, Lucien loosened his grip on me. We lay side by side on the small hospital bed, breathless. It was stupid to assume that Lucien didn't know anything about the attack. Feeling sad about Julie's betrayal, I said, I didn't know. I shook my head. I trusted Julie. He clenched his jaw. I'm going to make them pay, one by one. Sable was also there, I added. I know. After a moment of silence, I asked, how did you find me? He stared at me intensely as if trying to say something. Remember you are married to me? I chuckled. Makes sense. How long have I been unconscious? 2 days. I gasped as I lifted my hands. And all my wounds have healed? Yes, and I am amazed, he replied as he looked at my hands. There is not a place in your body that hasn't healed. How is this possible? I didn't know how to answer that, so I pursed my lips and shrugged. Images from my dream flooded my mind, and I wondered if I should tell him, but I decided against it. I want to go home, I said instead. Now. Whenever you say love, he said. Despite Dr. Elias's protests that we should spend 2 more days in the hospital, we went home. For the next 2 days, Lucien didn't leave my side. I felt weak, but Vivi's food brought my strength back. It was on the 3rd day that Tarion came over, saying that Sable and 4 wolves had gone missing. Auren POV. They have run away, leaving no traces, Tarion said. We can't find Sable. What about Julie? I asked. Her betrayal hit me the most, though deep down I wanted to kill Sable as well. She was caught before she could escape. Launch a manhunt for Sable, Lucien ordered. After I was injured in the wolves' attack, I was weak. Though I recovered fully within the next 2 days, I still didn't have the energy to walk or sit for over an hour. I wasn't a trained warrior, yet I fought with all of them. Lucien and his doctor were amazed at my ability to heal so fast. Usually, even a Gamma warrior takes about a week to heal, said Dr. Elias. But you've healed within 2 days, Luna. He blinked his light brown eyes in wonder at me as he examined my wounds. On the first day, the skin had started stitching on its own. On the second day, there were red marks and bruises all over. But on the third day, my skin was just like it was earlier, with no blemishes. My lips curved up slightly. It is because of your great medicine, Elias. He shook his head. No, Luna Auren, I have treated so many patients similarly. But you're different. I glanced at Lucien, who was standing by the window with his arms crossed against his chest, watching me like a hawk. He hadn't left me for a single day ever since he found me in the alley. I had noticed some scars on his torso the next day in the morning, but they had vanished within a few hours. I'm just the plain old Omega doctor, I chuckled. Elias shook his head again. I refused to agree. He looked at Lucien. Can I do her proper blood test? I mean, I have done it earlier, but I focused on finding infection that time. Lucien's eyes came on me to see whether I approved or not. When I shrugged, Lucien said, Okay, but you will not withdraw over a milliliter of blood. Elias opened his mouth to say something, but Lucien's stern gaze made him quiet. Okay, he muttered. After the doctor left, Lucien came to sit by me. Now sleep, he ordered. You've gone through a lot. He nudged me on the pillows after fluffing my pillows. Then he lay beside me and curled his arm around my waist. He inhaled my scent. Sighing, his eyes drifted close. For the past 3 days, we were inseparable. His wolf was overprotective to the level that often I would hear him growl at Vivi, or the maid who came to give food or clean our room. Both of them would run away, afraid of him. There were guards everywhere in the house and outside the house, but Lucien was snarling at all of them if anyone approached me. It was like he was seeing them all as a challenge to his wife. I would often find him staring at my neck where his mark would sit. Once when I inclined my neck in submission, he let out a ferocious growl and his fangs slipped. But he controlled his wolf, muttering, I was still weak after the deadly attack. But that didn't stop me from pleasuring him once last night. What could I do? It started with him sleeping next to me in boxers. He was unable to sleep nicely. He was so restless that he was tossing and turning the whole night. I got up, cupped his cheeks, and kissed him on his lips. His eyes snapped open. Wrapping his arms around me and holding me tightly in his grip, he drifted off to deep slumber. Tarian came in the evening again. Alpha Lucien. Lucien growled, hating the interruption. Go away, Tarian, he growled. I wanted to talk about the families in the dungeons. Lucien's eyes snapped open. He got up with a jerk. What about them? He asked. Families, I asked, bewildered. What families? It's none of your concern, Auren, Lucien snapped. Tarian blurted, Alpha Lucien, the families of the wolves who attacked Luna Auren are demanding to see you. They are all crying for mercy in the dungeons. My mouth dropped open in shock. With wide eyes, I looked at Lucien. You've thrown their parents in the dungeons? Lucien got out of the bed, glaring at Tarian as if he had revealed the greatest secret of the world. Parents and siblings. Why? I will do whatever it takes for my pack members to learn that no one can attack you. If they harm a single hair on your body, they will face repercussions. You are the Luna of the North, not someone to trifle with. But you can't punish their families for it, I argued. I will punish all their families, Auren, he growled. And then some more. Saying that, he spun and strode out of the room like a thundercloud. My heart raced wildly. I had heard that the Alpha of the North was a merciless, cruel wolf. He acted first and talked later, but this was the first time I was witnessing his cruelty. How could he torture the families? Alpha Lucien, I shouted as I ran behind him into the main hall to stop him, but by that time he was gone. Vivi rushed to me. Luna Auren, you need rest. Vivi, I breathed. Do you know that Lucien? I know, she replied, nodding. Please don't bother yourself with it. Knowing him, he really won't spare them. Their children attacked his Luna. You are not only his Luna, you are the Luna of the Shadowfang pack, and that's a heinous crime. There is a public outrage on this. People are divided. While most didn't like this bold attack on you, some are unhappy with Alpha's decision. This is not right, I argued, feeling anxious. Luna Auren, Vivi said in a strict voice. This happens in every pack. What do you think Alpha Bram would have done had you attacked Maris? I gulped. Images of how they beat me and threw me in the dungeons flooded my mind. I don't want this to happen to innocent people, I said. Vivi sighed. You're too kind, but please go back to your room. I'll bring you chicken soup. With a heavy heart, I walked to my room. I waited for Lucien to return, but he didn't. It was in the evening that a maid came to me. With her hands fidgeting in her dress, she said, Luna Auren, Julie's uncle is here to see you. Auren POV. My lips lifted into a frown. Julie's uncle? I was confused as to why he wanted to meet me. Did he say why he wants to meet me? I asked the maid. She shook her head. He is saying that he will speak with you only. I took a deep sigh and said, ask him to wait. The maid left, and I took my time to understand the situation. He must have come to speak about Julie's parents who were in the dungeons. When I arrived in the small parlor adjacent to the main hall, I found him pacing the room. With a tall, wiry frame, he had a harsh look about himself. The moment he saw me, he bowed to me. Luna Auren, thank you so much for seeing me. I'm Gary. Seeing him made me recall how Julie betrayed me. That filled my heart with rage. Instead of wasting time, I said curtly, if you've come to talk about Julie and her parents, then I can't help you. You have to talk to Alpha Lucien about it. I stepped closer, feeling like something inside me was trying to surface as rage boiled in my body. And after what Julie did to me, you can't expect me to sympathize with her, I almost hissed. Sweat beads formed on Gary's forehead. He dropped on his knees, which took me by surprise. Clasping his hands in front of him, he said, Luna Auren, I know what Julie did was horrible. I heard that she led you into an ambush, but how can you blame her parents for it? Her mother and father are innocent. They didn't know what she was doing. And right now, as we speak, Alpha Lucien has challenged her father in the arena. What? I asked, bewildered. He nodded vehemently, almost on the verge of crying. Alpha has challenged her father to fight him, saying that he would give him a chance to live. But we all know that Alpha Lucien is so strong that Julie's father doesn't have a chance against him. It's Alpha's way of hunting his prey, toying with it before he kills it. My eyes widened and my mouth dropped to the floor. Lucien was really cruel when it mattered. I collected my mouth, not knowing what to do. Had he put them in the dungeons, he would have tortured them. But now what he was doing, it was worse than torture. He was so furious by the whole act that his wolf wanted to punish everyone involved in it, even if remotely. Please, Luna Auren, Gary pleaded, snapping me out of my thoughts. Please, help us. Julie was wrong, but you can't punish her parents because of her. Alpha Lucien is not listening to any of us. It looks like no one can reason with him. We can't reach him. Only you can help us. His words brought a shudder down my body. Is that so? Gary nodded. Yes, he rasped. Help us, Luna. I pursed my lips. Okay, I said. Then I rushed toward the arena with my guards following me. Gary was also with me. When I reached there, I was stunned to see that Lucien was fighting with a wolf younger than him. The wolf was literally shivering and unable to stand the blows from Lucien. Mercy, the wolf murmured through his dislocated jaw. He sat on the ground in a pool of blood. There was a sea of wolves all around, watching Lucien fighting the wolf. I could feel Lucien's rage. It was so much that I almost stumbled at the sensation. How could I feel his emotions so well? But then wasn't I feeling them all the while? Oh, goddess, Gary rasped. I whipped my head to look at him and saw pure panic. Suddenly, there was a booming roar that shook the windows and doors of the arena. My breath hitched. I think Alpha Lucien is going to kill Julie's father. Shit. If that happened, I was sure his people were never going to forgive me. He was killing her father because of an Omega like me, a breeder, who had to fulfill her duty, and who hadn't even started on that mission. They could start a mutiny against him. My heart ached at the thought of him getting into such colossal trouble. I had to stop him anyhow. I ran across the crowd, pushing them away. Some made way for me, while some had to be pushed. When I reached there, I saw a gigantic black wolf, and my breath lodged in my throat. I had never ever seen such a giant wolf in my life. His teeth and mouth were covered in blood. There was a pin-drop silence as wolves watched. No one dared to even come close to the ring for the fear that Remus would kill them in an instant. My breath hitched when I saw Remus in his full glory for the first time. He was not beautiful. He was magnificent, stunning, mesmerizing, and over 6 feet tall with a muscular body that would shame a god. "Lucien!" I shouted as I jumped into the ring. Remus whipped his head to look at me, his eyes flashing golden and a dangerous growl emanating from his chest. I should have been scared of him, but all I felt was this compulsion to touch him. He opened his jaw, baring his fangs at me as if warning me to not come near him. But I stepped closer. "Please, Remus," I said in a low, cautious voice. "Leave him." Remus stared at me with his golden eyes and a few seconds later took a step back. In no time, Gary rushed into the ring and dragged his brother away. But the guards surrounded him immediately and took him back to the dungeons. And now I was left alone with a gigantic, baddest and merciless wolf in the ring. I dropped on my knees, my heart racing like a drummer gone mad with drums. But I wasn't scared of Remus. I was scared for Lucien. Remus stepped back with a low growl that came out as a warning. He circled the ring as he glared at every person in the arena, warning them, challenging them to come near me, unless they wanted to be ripped apart. Lucien POV. Anger flowed inside me like hot molten lava, firing my veins. I wanted to kill these bastards who had given birth to pups who attacked my Auren. "She's not our Luna, if you haven't marked her," Julie's father, Harry, shouted. "You have to treat Auren like you treat any other member in the pack." I lunged at him and my hands grasped his throat. "How dare you?" I growled, my fangs slipping out. "Auren is my wife. We are legally married according to the pack laws." "So what?" he said, wheezing and coughing. "Alpha Lucien," Julie's mother begged. "Please leave him. We didn't know that Julie would do something like this. Trust us, no one knew." She started crying again. I whipped my head to look at her. Remus was again growling in my head, giving me a headache. He wanted to kill them already. "Kill them all," he said. He was demanding blood and revenge. "I don't believe that you didn't know," I snarled. "My gammas are looking into all your phone records as we speak." Her face paled, and she stepped back, crying even more. I turned my face to see Harry again. "Bind him in silver chains," I commanded my warriors. 2 of them rushed inside with silver chains, holding them in gloved hands. "Why are you binding me in silver chains?" Harry said, coughing. "I'd rather die like a warrior. Kill me in a fight, Alpha Lucien. I challenge you." My lips lifted into a smirk. "Any day," I said. Somehow Remus loved the idea. The guards carried him to the arena, and I followed, glancing at Julie's mother, who was now shaking. I pummeled the fucking bastard in the ring. He tried to best to attack me, using various tactics, but he appeared like a fucking jester in a court. Before he could even use all his craft against me, he was on the floor with a dislocated jaw. "Mercy," he muttered. I scoffed. Now the fucker plead mercy? But Remus wanted blood, mastered. He took over me in an instant. Just as he was about to kill Harry, a voice stopped him. He looked up and saw Auren entering the ring. I was scared that Remus would attack her and gave her a warning glare, but then he stepped back on her command. She was only looking at Remus, scaring the shit out of me. This was the first time she had seen him, and this wasn't how I wanted to reveal him. But what was she doing in the arena? I had specifically asked her to stay put. My eyes went to Gary, who pulled his brother out of the ring. I opened my mind link with my warriors to take him back to the dungeons. There was complete silence in the ring. Remus growled at all those who were present, warning them to stay away from my mate. He circled the ring and snarled at all those who dared to even look at her. "Let's fucking kill them. They hurt my mate," Remus growled. But even as he said it, he couldn't ignore the presence of Auren. She was sitting in the center, only looking at him. Remus was a huge wolf with a slant cut that stretched from his upper right eye to the nose and stopped. Somehow that cut never manifested on my face when I was in human form. That cut, along with his thick black fur and height, he was like a living nightmare. His jaw was big enough to wrap around and crush a fucking skull. "Keep your ridiculous notion to yourself," he growled. I'm more handsome than you." I gritted my teeth as Remus turned to Auren, who was still sitting on the floor. He walked to her, and she reached her hand for him. "No, Auren, no." I was scared as hell and pushed Remus to give me skin. But my beast pushed me down. How could he miss this opportunity? He lowered his face to his tiny, timid mate, who looked like a delicate butterfly in front of him. I was expecting panic, her running away, but she touched his jaw softly. Remus's chest rumbled with approval as he closed his eyes, basking under the touch of his mate. "She's so soft," he said, and took a step closer. And then what he did next made my heart leap out of my chest. He sat down right in front of her like a puppy. She brought both her hands to him and cuddled him, scratching his fur on the neck and head. God damn it, Remus was never going to give me my skin back now. He wagged his tail, purring like a cat, basking under the warm feeling that flooded his chest. Auren wasn't afraid of us at all. "You're so beautiful," she breathed. My need to mark and claim her turned ferocious. Remus lifted his head and licked her face all over as she giggled, but then he licked her neck and his chest rumbled. He bared his fangs to mark her. "Remus, no," I shouted at him. "She is still weak. She may die." "Mine," he growled. "She's mine. Yes, she is ours." "Alpha Lucien, people are here from the council." My thoughts got interrupted by Tarian's voice. Auren turned her head to look at the warriors who were standing in a line outside the ring. She grasped my fur, scrambling closer. I smelled her fear, and it twisted my stomach. Remus growled at the warriors, and they didn't dare to enter the ring. He placed his giant paw on Auren's lap as if protecting her. Tarian repeated, "Alpha Lucien, messengers from the High Council are here." I looked at him, and my gaze shifted to people behind him. "Why are people from the High Council here?" Remus asked as he placed another paw on her lap. She was now leaning against him, staring at Tarian and other warriors. "Goddess, my little wolf was so powerful that she kept me bound to her. I was truly whipped worse than cream, wrapped around her little finger." "I don't know," I murmured. Alpha Lucien, a wolf from the High Council, came forward and called me. "We have to speak with you." I growled a warning and he stepped back in fear. "What do you want?" Auren asked, her fear returning with full force. "Miss Auren Vaslov, please step out of the ring. You've been charged." "Charged with what?" she asked, her eyes going wide. "Something isn't right," Remus growled. The official looked at me and then back at Auren. A muscle ticked in his jaw. "You stand accused of the heinous crime of cold-blooded murder of Sable Brown and 4 other wolves, slain in broad daylight. We have come here to arrest you." Auren POV. My breath hitched as the world tilted beneath my feet. Murder? The word crashed into me, robbing me of air. My pulse thundered in my ears as I searched the faces of the wolves from the High Council. "What are you saying?" I said in a raspy voice. "I didn't kill Sable. Instead, she attacked me." But their faces were painted with grim certainty. It was like they had made up their mind that I was the murderer. Remus snarled, baring his fangs, warning them to not come closer. I could feel his fury inside me. He wanted to rip these men to shreds. Seeing his demeanor, the High Council wolf said, "You better come with his Auren Vaslov. If you won't come amicably, we will be forced to use magic." "Magic?" My eyes flicked to the 2 women standing behind the High Council wolves at the door of the arena. They had glowing purple eyes and a mysterious aura around them. An eerie chill went down my spine. There was a sudden shift in the air, and I knew that it was their magic which was trying to reach me, probe me. It seemed like they were ready to subdue Remus if Lucien resisted. Once again, Remus snarled. This time, Tarian came forward and stood in front of us with his arms crossed across his chest, like he would fight them if need be. "How do you even know that Sable is dead?" he asked in a voice as sharp as a blade. The lead High Council wolf showed that he was unfazed by his words, but his fear was palpable. "Sable and 4 other wolves have been missing for 3 days. While your alpha ordered to launch a manhunt for him, on Elder Peter's request, the High Council warriors were also dispatched to find her. But there was no trace, no scent, no bodies, only blood, scattered across the dense forest." Remus's fur bristled as he removed his paws from me and stood up, his claws digging into the ground. It looked like Remus wasn't letting Lucien come out. Tarian said, "And that's enough to accuse our Luna?" His voice was deadly calm, but I knew that he was talking to Lucien through MindLink. For now, yes, the High Council wolf snapped. Suddenly, with a dangerous snarl, Remus gave way to Lucien, but only halfway. Like his arms rippled with fur and his voice was animalistic. He bared his teeth, stepping closer. We all know that Elder Peter is from Sable's family. His golden eyes darkened with rage simmering in them. It is his doing. This isn't justice. It looks like a ploy, a calculated move. The High Council wolf remained impassive. Sable Brown is missing. It was me who attacked her. Lucien cut him off in a lethal voice. She ran away right in front of me. Rather than Auren, it is Sable who is the culprit. She had no right to step into my pack and attack Auren with 10 other wolves because I had expelled her. The High Council wolf didn't even blink. We have already investigated. You were not present when Auren attacked her and other wolves. I came to her rescue. Moreover, Auren is an Omega. Lucien growled. How can she attack and kill so many trained warriors? His hands curled into fists. Even though Lucien fought for me, I could feel the trap closing around me. I knew I was being framed. Like I said, we have already investigated. Many have witnessed Auren's special ability to fight on earlier occasions. She is no ordinary wolf, and she can no longer hide under the disguise of innocence. We are going to take her with us. If you won't allow it amicably, we will use force. Lucien looked at Tyrion, who appeared tense. They both began talking via MindLink again. I stood up and walked behind Lucien, a shiver running down me. Going to the prison in the High Council meant that one could never come out alive. And even if they did, they were not fit to live in packs, because they went moon crazy. I had heard of several who were put to sleep after coming out from the Council's prison. It was said that the place was rife with dark magic. I clutched Lucien's arm, my nails digging into him. This is wrong, I murmured. I didn't kill her. Lucien brought me in front of him and hugged me tightly. I know, he muttered, trying to calm me. I started crying. I didn't want to go, but I knew that if I resisted, they would make Lucien suffer. The witches were already watching us with intrigue from the other side. I won't let them take you. I shook my head. No, I won't let you fight them because I know it will turn into a bloodbath. No, he protested. You aren't going without a fight. I will oppose every fucking wolf out there before I let you go. Lucien, I said, cupping his cheeks. I am innocent. I didn't kill Sable. Truth always wins, so find a way for us to come out of it unscathed. My gaze darted to the High Council wolf and to all the pack members who were standing, watching us silently. I can't let all of them die for me, love. They don't deserve it. A shudder ran down his body as Lucien stared at me. He knew that I was determined. So he looked at the High Council wolf and said, I'll go with her. His words were final. Then, without another word, he jumped out of the ring and shifted. He lowered his massive form for me to climb onto his back. I heard a collective gasp as I climbed him. I knew that I would be riding him all the way to the council. The crowd parted for us as he walked with his head held high toward the High Council guards. As they followed us, I was surprised that all those who were present in the arena, over 200 warriors, also followed us. This seemed like their silent declaration of loyalty toward their leader. I circled my arms around Remus, holding his thick fur, and lay down on him. He took off in the dense forest. The High Council wolves and witches followed us, always cautious of the force coming behind us. Tyrion also shifted into his wolf and ran along with his alpha. My heart was thundering in my chest as to what was going to happen now. But one thing was certain, there was someone behind this. Someone had played their game cleverly. I needed to find who that was. Third-person POV. Bram had been fuming ever since he had returned home after Auren accepted his rejection. He was her mate, and he thought that it was his right to have her back. He made a big mistake by sending her away to Alpha Lucien as a breeder on Maris's suggestion. Every fucking day without her was a torture. His wolf was going mad inside him, often growling and pushing him on the edge to go back to his mate. But he wasn't going there because he was bound by a treaty. Still, when he went there, he asked Auren to come back. Instead, she just accepted his rejection? Every day there were fights between him and Maris. He didn't like her presence near him. Rather, his wolf shunned her away. Why are you sitting in my room? Bram snapped at her one night when he returned. Haven't I told you to stay in your room? After Auren left him, a few days later, he asked Maris to move into the adjacent room on the pretext that he wanted some time alone. Though she moved there, she would practically spend most of her time with him. Huh? Maris was shocked. She started crying. What is wrong with you these days, Bram? Have I made a mistake? Bram gritted his teeth. He ran a hand through his hair as his patience thinned by the second. His wolf had almost receded into his mind after Auren accepted the rejection. He would come out now and then only to seek Auren. At least earlier, when she hadn't accepted his rejection, his wolf was there. He was a prick, but he was there. Now, Bram felt like he was a husk. Without his wolf, he was more like a human, and his pack was not going to withstand an alpha without a wolf. It was a matter of time that someone from his pack challenged him. Yes, Maris, you made a mistake, he growled, his voice strained with mental exhaustion. You convinced me to send Auren away, and now this. His jaw clenched. Now, he was paying the price for it. Maris gasped, her eyes going wide with disbelief. You still care for that Omega even though she accepted your rejection? Her voice shook with fury mingled with sadness. After everything I did for you, after everything we planned together, it's not like you didn't know what would happen. You wanted a strong mate, and you chose me over her. Somehow, because of her words, his wolf decided to appear in his head. He snarled inside him. Ask her to go, he hissed. I hate her presence. Her smell is repulsive. She smells like a dead rat. Just fucking leave. Bram growled, his eyes flashing gold. Maris winced. She wiped her tears and said, You'll regret this, Bram. He scoffed. I already do. She collected her dress and rushed out, crying loudly. Every night Bram spent with Maris felt like a slow death. It was an agonizing reminder of what he had lost, his moonmate. He thought that Maris was the right choice, the logical choice. Auren was a weak Omega who he could never accept, but now, the thought of Auren standing with Lucien, thriving without her mate, gnawed at him like a festering wound. And worse, she had fucking accepted his rejection without a second thought. If she had returned that night, he would have made her his mistress. He would have married Maris and spent the rest of his time with Auren. At least that way, his wolf had been appeased. But now, that fucker Lucien was marrying his mate, he wasn't going to allow it. Bram had worked hours to find a strategy, and then he cooked a fantastic plan. His spies had told him that Julie had successfully convinced Auren to come with her for the birthday party. After that, things went according to his plan. So, right now, he was waiting for a phone call. It was toward morning that he received the phone call that he had been waiting for ever since he had formed this. They are taking her to the High Council dungeons, she chuckled. Bram's lips lifted into a smile after many days of agony. Finally, he could see light at the end of the tunnel. Auren was going to become his once and for all. Treaty be damned. He knew the laws well. He had also heard of how she was defeating trained warriors at every chance she fought them. That meant that she was turning into a formidable wolf, right to stay beside him. He was going to get her back and then ask Maris to leave, or she could stay as his mistress, though he was unsure if he would go and smell her rotten scent. Good, he replied. Stay low until I ask you to come out. It is important that you do not show yourself. Of course, she laughed. We both have to have what we want in the end, right? Yep, he breathed. Just as he was about to go out and talk to his beta, Maris came again, her hands curled into fists on her sides. You're pathetic, she spat. At first you asked me to help you throw her out. Now you want her back? I was the one who formulated that treaty for you using Auren. Bram's eyes snapped to hers. Shut up, Maris, he said in a low, dangerous voice. No, she shouted. You don't get to do this. You are playing a victim card when you were the one who made this choice. Why are you again obsessed with Auren? Her voice broke, and she started crying again. I stood by you, making sure that you didn't end up with that pathetic Omega, and yet you treat me like this. Pathetic Omega? He snarled at her. Auren was many things but pathetic. I called her weak only because you instilled that emotion in me, but now the truth sits like acid in my stomach. She was never weak. You were too cruel to her. Maris's face paled. What? If I was cruel to her, then you encouraged my action. You shouldn't have done it if you were in doubt. Get out, he roared, his chest rising and falling as his wolf raged. Shocked as hell as his outrage, Morris ran away from there, wailing loudly, "You hypocrite!" He took a deep breath. He walked to the window and murmured, "Auren, you thought you could walk away? Thought you would be happy without me? But you are still my mate. The bond didn't just disappear. I am coming to get you back. You're mine." Bram opened his mind link with his beta, Josh, and said, "Prepare to go to the High Council. We leave at dawn." His real work was going to start now. Auren POV. The wind rushed past me as Remus ran fast through the forest. Though his warm fur kept me from shaking, my hands were still cold, my heart was heavy. I didn't do anything wrong. All I did was to defend myself, so why was I being taken like a prisoner? It seemed like someone was behind all this. Someone powerful and someone who could pull strings at the High Council. The trees blurred around us, dry leaves crunched under Remus's paws. Behind us, the High Council wolves and witches followed. Every now and then I could feel the whisper of magic licking me, feel their sharp gazes on my back, like I was already guilty, like they were ready to tackle us if Remus decided to do something untoward. But I felt proud of one thing. Over 200 wolves ran behind us, the sound of their pounding paws filling the forest with a thunder that shook the ground. They were all extremely loyal to Lucien. It felt like they weren't just following their alpha, they were making a statement. I clung to Remus as he ran, feeling the power of his muscles rippling beneath me. Every now and then he would glance back at me and then at the High Council wolves with unease. I would pat his shoulder often, only to assure him that I was fine. But on the inside I was a mess. Hours later, when we reached the High Council grounds, Remus stopped and lowered to the ground for me to get down. He shifted once I was standing. Tyrion rushed to us and gave him jeans to wear. Lucien's fury was palpable in the air. His pack members surrounded us, growling low, ready to fight at one sign from him. "Hand her to us amicably, Alpha Lucien," the High Council leader said, coming near. "Else we will be forced to use magic." "I want to meet Elder Peter," Lucien said in a lethal voice. "You can't meet him like this. Let Auren go, else there will be consequences." The pack started closing in on the High Council wolves. Tension rippled in the air. The witches also started closing in, chanting something silently. Suddenly, their hands crackled with white and purple lights. Lucien stepped toward the High Council wolves. "You know that she is innocent. Elder Peter knows that she is innocent. Yet, you have caught her. This is corruption of the highest level. I demand to meet the main elder of the High Council." The High Council wolves were unfazed. Their leader said, "There is a process to it. The main elder is going to announce when the trial would commence. Until then, you have to wait." "I refuse," Lucien shouted. "Then we will use force," the wolf growled back. He nodded at the witches. "No!" Lucien shouted. Something shifted in the air, making me shudder. I snapped my head left and right to understand what was going on, but I couldn't. All at once, a silvery barrier formed between me and Lucien, crackling with dark energy. Lucien snarled and lunged toward me, but the magic pulsed, sending him stumbling back. "Lucien!" I cried, fear bubbling inside my chest. "Let her go!" he roared. The witches didn't even flinch. The High Council warrior who was trapped inside the barrier with me grabbed my arms and dragged me forward. "Leave me!" I gasped as I fought and twisted, but the magic began pressing on me, draining my strength. Lucien and others couldn't go past a certain line. I looked behind only to see him shouting my name. Tears ran down my eyes as I murmured his name. "Lucien." The warriors dragged me to the dungeons in the basement. We walked for a few minutes, and then I was shoved into a cold stone cell. They slammed the heavy iron-barred door shut behind me. I ran to the door, shouting, "Leave me!" But all I heard were their retreating footsteps. Mentally exhausted, I slid to the floor, sobbing. "Please, leave me. What have I done?" It was so cold that I curled my hands around my knees, shivering. A few minutes later, a suffocating weight settled on my body. Like the air turned thick with dark magic, I felt as if something was pressing against my skin. They felt like invisible chains, though there were no chains in the prison. It wasn't just the cold that made me shiver. It was the presence of heavy magic that was trying to weaken me mentally and physically. The magic slithered around me, licking and touching my skin, entering into my ears and nostrils, probing my mind with his cold tentacles. That something inside me whimpered. I could feel its restlessness because of the oppressive energy. They wanted to break me, but why? Or was this how every prisoner of the High Council was treated? How long was I going to stay here? How could I get out of here? Goddess, show me a way. I closed my eyes and focused on something that would cheer me up. Lucien, could he feel me? Would he come for my rescue in here? I tried to distance my mind from my body by thinking of a happy memory. When I was getting married to Lucien, how he kissed me, how he stared at me, and how he protected me every time. At first, I was surrounded by a blinding white light, and then Lucien came into view. Lucien? I asked, unable to believe what I was seeing. He nodded. Yes, love. Come to me, he said, opening his arms. I got up and ran into his open arms. Was I dreaming? He chuckled as he kissed the crown of my head. Stop thinking much, Auren. Just stay with me, okay? I nodded, already feeling better. If I was dreaming, then I was going to dream of him. How did you find me? I asked. I would always know where to find you, baby, he said, his voice just above a whisper. He held my hand and said, Would you like to walk with me? Yes, I murmured, taking his hand. He tugged me toward the whiteness that now morphed into the temple where we got married. We walked around it for a bit and then sat on the steps. I placed my head in his lap as he stroked my head gently. Stay strong, Auren, he said tenderly. With you by my side, I can fight this world. Lucien POV. Like a wild beast, I paced outside the barrier created by the High Council witches with my hands clenched into fists. I wanted to kill those witches like yesterday. They have no right to be in the werewolves' territories. Yet here they were, binding us, controlling us. They had sealed the prison with dark magic, making sure that no one, including me, could reach her. Frustration burned in my chest. Remus was growling restlessly inside me. Let's tear through the council walls and get back our mate, he snarled. And then what? I argued, my nails digging into my palms. Fight every damn witch and warrior here? They're expecting that, Remus. They want me to lose control. I don't care, Remus snapped. She is alone in there, suffering. We should be by her side, not pacing like caged animals. His raw rage mirrored mine. The bond that I felt between us throbbed painfully. It was a constant reminder that Auren was there, but just beyond our reach. You think I don't want to burn this place to the ground? I growled. But if we go in blind, we lose. And if we lose, she loses. Remus went silent for a moment, his anger pulsing through me. Then he said, Then do something, because I can't take this waiting. I exhaled sharply as I ran a hand through my hair. He was right. I just couldn't stand here while she suffered alone in that prison where I knew they had dark magic. I turned to Tyrion, who was watching me with tension in his eyes. What do you want me to do, Alpha? He asked. Should I call all our pack members to attack these bastards? I want you to find out everything about Elder Peter. This can't be his work alone. If he sent his dogs after Auren, who he doesn't know at all, then he must be in cahoots with someone. I'm sure it is Rizv, but that dimwit is in our dungeons and wouldn't dare to approach Peter. Then who is it that has helped Peter into framing Auren? If Sable and those wolves are dead, then where are their bodies? I'll put our trackers on task, Alpha, Tyrion said, but I think we should also talk to Rizv about it. Maybe he had planned it all along. I let out a rough breath. Maybe. I felt Auren through the bond, a faint tugging sensation, like she was calling out to me. I gritted my teeth when I sensed the pain she was in. It was so deep that it chilled my bones. I couldn't stand it. Tyrion, I said in a rough voice, take charge. Handle everything. Auren needs me. His eyebrows shot to the hairline. What do you mean? He asked. How do you know? Can you go inside and see her? Or you are thinking she needs you? You won't understand, I replied. I shook my head. How could I say that Auren was my mate? There were too many wolves around me. Tyrion's eyes widened in complete shock. She is. Auren! Oh my goddess! Damn it! It seemed like he heard what I was thinking. I should be more careful with my thoughts. Thankfully, my mental shields were so good that unless I wanted, no other pack member could listen to me. Other than Tyrion, of course. I closed my eyes and tipped my head up. Yes, I replied. But don't you fucking utter a word to anyone. Shocked, bamboozled, totally out of his space, Tyrion continued to stare at me. Why didn't you tell me earlier? He hissed, his protective instincts surging for his Luna. Well, now you know, I grunted. You arrogant prick. he cursed me. Look, she needs me, so handle everything, okay? He nodded, clenching his teeth. Do you know how serious this has suddenly become? Do you understand the gravity of the situation? I do, I snapped. I'm going. She is in trouble, so keep a watch on every activity and disturb me only when needed. Saying that, I turned and walked toward the forest to find a solitary place. I could feel his eyes boring into my back. Though I knew that he would never reveal it to anyone, he was going to give me a good one when we returned. Maybe he would challenge me just to release his pent-up frustration. Maybe I'll lose to him. I stalked through the trees until I found a small cave hidden beneath a rocky overhang. Perfect! I entered the cave and went to sit in a corner. I closed my eyes and allowed my mind to drift. It pushed past the physical world and slipped into the bond. I searched for her through all the whiteness that surrounded me, and there she was, waiting for me in the temple where we married. Come here, I said, feeling relieved and opening my arms. She ran into my arms. Auren, I murmured as I wrapped my arms tightly around her. Fuck. This was all I ever wanted in my life. My happily ever after. We spent time together inside the temple, exploring it as we talked to each other. We reached the statue of the moon goddess and offered our prayers. Why was it that I found her smiling and looking at Auren? My mind really played a lot of tricks. She giggled and laughed. I just cherished her, her laughter sounding like bells in the temple. Don't leave me, she said. I won't. I don't know how many hours passed, but a voice pulled me back. Alpha, wake up, I growled, hating the darkness that bubbled inside my beautiful dream in the form of Tarian's voice. Go away. Don't go, Lucien, Auren begged. It is cold out here. Alpha Lucien, please wake up, he breathed. The trial will begin in an hour. Surprised, I snapped open my eyes. What? The trial is about to start, he said. How long was I sleeping? 2 days. Whoa. Tarian added, you need to hurry up because Alpha Bram is also here. Fury like 1,000 volcanoes have erupted, returned. What the fuck is he doing here? He has laid claim to Auren, declaring her as his mate. Auren POV. Darkness began bleeding in my beautiful dream, staining it with its black ink. No, Lucien, don't go, I said in a raspy voice, but his features began fading and soon he disappeared. The oppressive magic again pressed on me and I whimpered, coming back to reality. The door of my prison opened and a guard walked in. The trial begins today. You are wanted upstairs, he said in a stern voice. He had a curious look on his face as he scanned me from top to bottom. How long have I been here? I asked as I stood up shakily. He came to me and helped me stand up. 2 days, he replied, the curiosity in his gaze intensifying. How are you feeling? He asked inquisitively. I shot him a glare. What was he expecting? That I'd be dancing around? Great, I said through gritted teeth. He pursed his lips as if stopping himself from speaking further. He grabbed my arm and took me upstairs. We walked through a stairwell and then through a corridor. I was hoping that I would go to the main hall to face the trial, but he took me to a private chamber. He knocked on the door lightly and announced us. I've got the prisoner, Elder Peter. Come in, a rough, weathered voice came. The guard opened the door and I found myself facing an elderly wolf who was bald with a white beard sitting at a long mahogany desk. His brown eyes fixed on me as he jerked his head to signal the guard to leave. A man sat opposite to him on a chair, his face away from me. His familiar scent hit me. I clenched my teeth. Alpha Bram. My pulse thrummed in my ear and I had this urge to attack him and kill him. That something inside me wanted him dead. Right now. Bram swiveled his chair and turned to look at me with his lips tilting up. How are you doing, Auren? He asked. I didn't reply to him, but I wondered what his connection was with Elder Peter. Like what was going on? Elder Peter sized me from top to bottom as if wondering how I was still in one piece. How come the dark magic didn't affect me? Instead of bowing to him, I lifted my gaze to Elder Peter and fumed. You accused me of something I didn't do. He tapped his fingers on the table. You killed Sable and 4 other wolves, Auren. You will face the consequences. I didn't, I growled. He ignored me. There's a way out of this whole situation, though. What way? I asked with trepidation cruising through me. Elder Peter took a long breath in. Alpha Bram can help you with it. He has a plan. If you listen to him, he will save you from your impending death sentence. However, he tapped his fingers again on the table. If you won't, I will personally ensure that you are hanged to death." A shudder ran down my body when he said those words so coldly. I knew that he knew I was innocent. It was clear that this was a setup, and he was involved. But how was Bram linked to this? The only way for me was to play their game if I wanted to know the depth of the conspiracy. So I stayed quiet and glanced at Alpha Bram, who had a smirk on his face. Oh, what I could do to wipe that smirk off his face. When I didn't reply, Elder Peter leaned forward. It was then I saw a flicker of worry on his face. Like if I didn't go with their plan, he could be in jeopardy. Or maybe I was imagining. "Do you want to live or not?" he asked. "It's better that you listen to Alpha Bram before the trial begins." I looked at Bram and found him watching me as if assessing me, waiting for me with tension in his shoulders. "Okay, I'd like to hear about it." Elder Peter and Bram both let out a sigh of relief. Their gazes met. Elder Peter nodded and got up. He walked out of the room. "I'll leave you two alone. Don't try to run or attack him, Auren," he warned. "Because my guards are stationed outside, they will throw you back in the dungeons." As soon as he closed the door behind him, Bram walked to me and stood right in front of me. His eyes softened, and he hugged me immediately. "Auren." Feeling repulsed, I shoved him away. "Don't," I growled. "Don't you dare to touch me." At first his eyes went wide, but then he started laughing. "I understand that you are mad at me, but that's okay. You have the right to be angry with me because I rejected you," he said and sat back in his chair. He tilted his head and measured me from top to bottom. Then he said, "I was hoping that 2 days in the prison was going to break you, but you look just as strong as you were. Remember, I accepted your rejection. Now what do you want?" I asked, hating every moment alone with him. He sighed. "Straight to the point. I like that. You are fit to be my Luna." "In your dreams," I retaliated. He chuckled. "No, not in my dreams. Now this will soon become a reality." My eyes widened in surprise. "I am married to Lucien. We haven't divorced, nor do I have intentions of divorcing him." Auren. He shook his head. "I knew you would say that. But sweetheart, this is how it will go. Up there when the trial begins, you will definitely be charged with murder of Sable and other 4 wolves. The High Council is going to sentence you to death. But," he paused, "you have a chance to save yourself." "How?" I asked, doubting his intentions. "I have come to help you with this," he said, as if sacrificing himself for my sake. "I will tell them that you are my mate, and there is no law that has the power to separate mates. Mates are revered in our society because they are rare. The High Council will have no other option but to drop their charges against you. Obviously, they will get all the papers signed to stop you from killing others before you will be released. However, this freedom comes at a price." He got up and came to stand in front of me again. Taking a strand of my hair in his hand, he brought it to his nose and inhaled its scent. His eyes flashed golden as if his wolf was trying to surface. A satisfied smile came to his lips. He tucked the strand behind my ear and added, "You have to come back with me to the Crimson Howl Pack. There we will marry in order to complete the process of making you my Luna." Potent hatred blasted in my chest. I wanted to slap him so hard that his jaw dislocated. "You're insane!" He stepped back. "Of course it's your choice. You can choose to walk away and embrace death." Lucien POV. As soon as I walked out of the cave, I saw that my pack members had increased. Tarian had called more of them, and I could sense a total of 500 wolves from my pack, and they had surrounded the entire High Council. My heart swelled with a warm feeling. They were all not only loyal to me, but they showed their loyalty to their Luna, and I knew that it was mostly because they had seen a Luna in centuries. Even Elder Rhina and Shaman were here. I opened my mind link to all of them and instructed them to stay quiet and not vandalize or attack anyone unless I signal them. Yes, this was what I was going to do. Fight the entire High Council and their fucking witches with magic in order to get my Luna back. They didn't know who they were facing. Remus was the mightiest wolf in the north, and he wanted blood. How could they take away his mate? When Tryon said that Bram had come here and laid his claim on Auren as his mate, all I wanted to do was rip him into pieces. "How dare he?" I growled as my claws slipped from my fingers. "Does he have a death wish?" I started to walk out of the cave to fucking kill the bastard. Tarian stopped me. Alpha Lucien, don't make the mistake of killing him at this time. He has declared that Auren is his mate, which means that he knows the law. The High Council is going to spare Auren's life in exchange for signed documents that will prohibit her from going anywhere. I don't fucking understand, I retorted. What are you saying, Tarion? Tarion clenched his jaw, inclining his neck as my alpha aura slipped out in rage. Alpha Lucien, calm down. We have to go about it intelligently, he breathed. With Bram declaring Luna Auren as his mate, the High Council will spare her life, but the repercussions are that she will have to go back with him. The Council will ask her to sign papers according to which she won't be allowed to leave the Crimson Howl Pack. Do you realize the extent of planning? My face contorted with so much rage that I punched a wall, cracking it at the point of impact. So am I supposed to sit here and watch them? Besides, he was marrying Maris. What happened to that? He rejected Auren. I am her second chance mate. How can he even claim her like this? Tarion gritted his teeth. You haven't marked her. No one knows about it. How can you prove that you are her second chance mate? As for Maris, I am surprised that she hasn't accompanied him, so obviously their relationship is not going well. I haven't marked her because she is too fragile, I retorted. Can't you understand that it's an everyday struggle for me not to mark her? By marking her, I will sign her death warrant. Of all the people, you should be knowing it. Tarion shook his head. There's more to it that meets the eye. Anyway, we have to do this cautiously, okay? Right now, let's watch them. At the end of the day, if the High Council gives an untoward judgment, we will attack them. Consequences be damned. I wasn't sure why, but I strode to Tarion and pulled him into a firm hug. Thank you, I murmured, needing any form of support. Tarion also embraced me back like a friend. I'm always with you, Lucien. A few minutes later, I went to the High Council grounds along with Tarion, Elder Reyna, our shaman, and a few gammas. Bram was there with his beta. He looked at me and smirked, like he had the situation under control. I felt like punching him, but I clenched my fist to calm myself and my wolf. From the left, I saw Auren coming out with 4 guards around her. Our gazes met. Her eyes filled with tears, as if trying to convey something to me. I gulped the ball of emotions in my throat. She mouthed sorry and glanced at Bram. I frowned as to what she meant. Did she know that Bram had declared his claim on her? My heart raced wildly. What was she going to do? Ominous feeling settled on my shoulders. Was she going to accept him? Remus let out a growl in my head, pacing restlessly inside me. Fuck. I looked at Bram, who confidently walked inside the main trial room. I didn't know what would happen, but one thing was sure. Bram had all the cards up his sleeve, and from where I stood it seemed like he would finally win. With a heavy heart, I entered the main hall. I saw Auren sitting in the dock. My emotions were all over the place. Tarion grabbed my shoulder from behind. Stay calm, he murmured. The High Council elders entered the hall. We all bowed to them before sitting in our seats. I was right behind Auren. My eyes landed on Elder Peter. He seemed restless. It was Elder Vincent who presided over the trial. He looked at Auren and said, "You are accused of killing Sable Brown and 4 other wolves in the cold and broad daylight. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?" "Not guilty," she replied with firmness. Through our bond I could feel her fear, but she was braving it. Elder Vincent raised his eyebrow. "Okay, then how would you like to proceed? Do you have someone who will argue your case?" She lowered her face and chuckled. 1/8 of the Shadowfang pack is here for me, but I will pick their leader, Alpha Lucien. How did she know? Pride swelled in my chest. She picked me. Not Elder Reyna, not Shaman, not Tarion. She wanted me to defend her, and that's what I would do. I stood up and bowed to Elder Vincent. "Step forward," Vincent said. "You may start." I didn't waste time and started. Auren is wrongly accused of murdering Sable Brown. In fact, it was Sable who attacked her with 10 other wolves. I am a witness to it. She wanted to kill Auren, and this wasn't the first time. She attacked Auren once before as well. "Do you have any proof?" he asked. Because from what I know, Auren defeated Sable and injured her badly in that fight. My eyes widened. How did he know? I snapped my gaze at Elder Peter. He looked away instantly. It meant that Rizv had already prepared him for the trial. This was long coming to me. "Yes, Elder Vincent," I replied. "Auren used her agility and presence of mind to save herself. You threw Sable into dungeons for attacking Auren and later you expelled her? Yes, Sable couldn't handle her defeat, and so she lured Auren into an ambush. But Auren killed wolves there also. He pointed. No, it was me who killed those wolves, I snapped. It is common in the packs to kill all those who attack their alphas and lunas. I looked at Auren, my Adam's apple bobbing. She is not a trained warrior. How could she defend herself against 10 trained wolves? When I came to defend her, Sable ran away along with 4 other wolves. Do you have a witness? Yes, Julie, the girl who lured Auren into the ambush. Auren POV. My gaze went to Bram, who was still sitting on his chair in a relaxed way. I wanted to tell Lucien what he told me, but for that I needed some time alone. However, I was sure that they wouldn't give me any time alone with him because they had already made up their mind about the judgment. Moreover, with corruption of this level, it was clear that Elder Peter and Bram had some solid connection. But what was that? It seemed like Lucien was fighting for something he would lose anyway. My heart sank with every minute in the trial room, but when he said that he had brought Julie with him, my hopes rose. Call her in the court, Elder Vincent said. Lucien mind-linked his warriors and 2 guards brought Julie to the court. She looked disheveled. She shot a glare at me and hissed, I hope you die, bitch! Silence! Elder Vincent's voice boomed in the room, making her wince. She was brought to the witness box, handcuffed. Alpha Lucien, you can question her, he said. Lucien walked to her, his chest rumbling with a growl, like his wolf wanted to kill her. Did you invite Auren for your birthday? He asked. Yes, she gritted. And then you led her to the bathroom? Yes. The bathroom was locked, and you led her to a back alley, and there all the wolves were waiting for her. No, I was taking her to another deli where the bathroom was open, but I don't know why suddenly she attacked me. I cried for help, and some wolves rushed into the alley to help me. I froze, watching her lie through her teeth. She's speaking lies, I blurted. She led me into an ambush. Silence! Elder Vincent roared. I snapped my mouth shut, shaking in my place. Lucien looked at me with a plea. He pursed his lips as if to ask me to remain quiet. When I nodded, he took a rough breath in and turned to Julie. The wolves that came included Sable Brown? Yes, Julie said in a low voice. She always looks for me. She must have heard my cries, so she ran for my help. When did she arrive? In a few minutes. She's always so helpful. Lucien tilted his head. Tell me one thing, Julie. How is it possible that Sable heard you when I had expelled her from my pack? Wasn't she out of the pack's territory? And the Yo-Yo Diner is about an hour from any of the borders of the pack. This time, Julie's blood drained from her face. She must have been there. So what you are saying is that Sable defied my orders and stayed in the pack without my permission. And on top of that, when you were taking Auren to the bathroom, she rushed to help you? Like she knew that you were going to be attacked by Auren in that alley in just a few minutes? Julie licked her lips. I don't know, she stuttered. She was there for me. When Auren attacked me, I was injured. It was Sable who saved me. But in the process, she was attacked by Auren. Elder Vincent, Lucien chuckled. He walked to Tarion, who gave him some documents. He took them to the elder. These are Auren's records from the hospital. She was the one who was brutally attacked and injured by 10 wolves, whose leader was Sable Brown. You can also see hospital records of Julie. She had minor scratches because she wasn't attacked at all. She stood on the sidelines, watching her. Lucien glared at Julie, who averted his gaze, going pale. He asked her, how is it possible that Auren attacked you and you escaped with just scratches, while Sable, who came to save you, ended up getting wounded? Yes, Sable came to save me. Julie pointed at me and started crying. She attacked her horribly. Sable couldn't take her attack, and so she ran away to save herself. Oh, Lucien mused. So Auren didn't attack you. Were you just watching when all this happened? And how were you discovered in the alley? I mean, who discovered you? Julie's brows furrowed. You discovered us, Alpha Lucien. Lucien smiled. Thanks for letting us know that. So I stand as a witness to this incident. Then he turned to Elder Vincent and said in a loud voice, when I reached the alley, I saw Auren being attacked by Sable and 10 other wolves. I rushed to save my Luna. Some wolves were killed in self-defense while some ran away, and Sable was the one who ran away. Julie's mouth dropped in shock as her theory got refuted. Hope blossomed in my chest that the elders would see his point. It was a wonderful argument with no loophole. Elder Vincent looked at Julie and shook his head. "You can leave, but you will not leave the High Council premises," he said with a sigh. As soon as Julie left, he faced Lucien. "Is there anything else you would like to say in your defense?" "No, Elder Vincent," Lucien replied. He walked back to his seat with a triumphant smile on his lips. He gave me a reassuring look, and for the first time in days, I also smiled. Then I gave a disdainful look to Bram. Elder Vincent scratched his brows. He flipped through the hospital records and then gave them to other elders to look at. The evidence in these records suggests that Auren was indeed attacked. But the problem is... He paused as his eyes roamed around those in the room. Sable is missing along with 4 wolves, and it's been quite a few days since she's missing. Several search parties were sent to look for her. He looked at Alpha Bram. Even Alpha Bram sent his trackers to search for her, but with no result. How far can an injured wolf go? Therefore, it is assumed that she is dead. But it is to be ascertained as to how she died. We can give benefit of doubt. "Elder Vincent," Bram got up, cutting him off. "I'd like to say something here." Elder Vincent clenched his jaw, not liking the interruption. "What is it?" he asked sharply. Bram circled past the desk he was sitting at and came to stand in front of the elders. "Since Sable Brown is assumed dead, how can we give benefit of doubt to her killer? All the evidence points to Auren killing her, but in my opinion, both Auren and Lucien killed her together." "What?" Lucien shouted. "Maris, the she-wolf who I plan to marry, is Sable's friend. She always said Auren hated Sable, and she instigated Lucien to cast her away from the pack." He turned to glance at us and smirked. "Though I can't put this gossip as evidence in this trial, there's something I'd like to point out. Before Rizv was taken by Lucien's warriors and thrown in the dungeons for what his daughter did, Rizv contacted Elder Peter, and he conveyed his fear about his daughter to him, saying Sable isn't safe in the Shadowfang pack. You can ask Elder Peter and confirm it." Shock surged through me like a lightning bolt. Auren POV. Bram's words were such a shock that I felt earth shifting beneath my feet. I whipped my head to look at Lucien, who was also staring at Bram. Confusion and anger warred inside me, and it was palpable in the air. Elder Vincent raised his eyebrows as he turned his head to look at Elder Peter. "Is there something you would like to add, Elder Peter?" Peter coughed in his hand, his demeanor turning awkward. Then he nodded and said, "Yes, Rizv called me a few days ago. He expressed his concern over how his daughter was being treated in the Shadowfang pack. He said that Luna Auren hated Sable and was looking for ways to either humiliate her or injure her. Rizv was afraid that Sable might die at the hands of Luna Auren for no reason, and Alpha Lucien wouldn't say a word." Saying that, he took out a folder from his bag and pulled out a few papers. "These are phone records between Rizv and me. You can verify them." He gave those papers to Elder Vincent, who appeared to be bewildered by this sudden change in the direction of the case. Vincent flipped through the call details as I stared at him with knots in my stomach. I just couldn't understand what Bram was doing. He had said that he was going to lay his claim on me that I was his mate. But why was he implicating Lucien? Vincent shook his head. "Yes, these call records say that Rizv was indeed scared for his daughter's life." Then he looked at Lucien. "Alpha Lucien, I hope you know the law that killing a pack member without fault is a punishable offense. Your Alpha title can be stripped." It was then I realized Bram's game. He was going to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. He would not only stake his claim over me, but he was going to make sure that Lucien loses his position. Lucien froze. For a moment he was quiet as his mind processed what Elder Vincent said. Then in a controlled voice he said, "Elder Vincent, I am aware of that, but firstly, Sable is not found as yet, so we can't assume that she is dead. Secondly, I already proved that in the alley it was Sable who attacked Auren, and not vice versa. As for my pack members, I don't control their thinking. I wasn't aware of Rizv's fear. There were many instances in which I should have banished Sable earlier, but I didn't. I was lenient to her on many occasions, and," he held his chin high, "I regret not taking action earlier." Vincent exhaled roughly, shaking his head. "This is not helping your case," he gritted. It is already proven that since Sable wasn't found anywhere, she is assumed dead along with 4 other wolves. Tears stung the back of my eye. We came back to square one. Lucien tried his best to help me out of this situation, but Bram was winning. Elder Vincent, Bram interrupted. While I know that what Auren did was heinous, but he looked at me tenderly. I can't let her die or rot in the High Council prison. I felt Lucien stiffening as I waited for Bram's final blow. And how are you going to save her? Vincent growled. Bram's lips curled up. He declared loudly, Auren is my moon mate. A collective gasp erupted behind me. All the elders were shocked. Murmurs bubbled in the air. Bram continued, and so I beg you to release Auren. Moonmates are rare. Please give Auren back to me. I can't live without her. I know that the law doesn't allow you to kill a moonmate. He turned to walk toward me confidently with a victorious smile. I'll take her back with me. If you want, I can sign papers which would prohibit her from going out of the Crimson Howl Pack for entire life. Give Auren back to me. My blood ran cold as my stomach twisted in revulsion at his words. The way he spoke, as if I was a possession he was bartering, it made me sick. No, I breathed, but my voice was drowned out by the murmurs that rippled in the council hall. Lucien's growl shattered the space. Over my dead body, he snarled, stepping between us. His muscles tensed, and his eyes burned with fury. She is mine. She was mine first, Bram countered smoothly. The laws are clear. The moonmate bond prevails above all. You took what was mine, and now I'm here to take her back. His gaze flickered to Elder Vincent. What is your verdict, Elder? Vincent stroked his beard. The law does protect moonmates, and so I pardon Auren. She will return to Alpha Bram. Prepare the papers. As Bram looked at me with victory in his eyes, with that gleam, with that smug face, I felt like my heart was cleaved in two. My chest constricted in panic. Think, Auren, think. I couldn't go back with Bram. Not after he rejected me. Not after Lucien came into my life. But there was one thing I could do. Now I was free. Free too. Bram started to walk toward me, smirking. Didn't I tell you this will happen? Suddenly, I darted to Lucien and hugged him. Lucien held me tightly against him as he glared at Bram. Lucien, I murmured, desperation lacing my voice. Mark me now. Lucien jerked his head. What? Mark me, I commanded him. He hesitated, his jaw locked tight. Auren, his voice was hoarse, tortured. He picked me up in his arms, and I wrapped my legs around his waist. What are you doing? Bram shouted at me. I pressed against Lucien, tilting my head, baring my neck. Do it, I whispered, before he takes me away. Something inside him snapped. With a possessive snarl, he grazed my skin and then sank his fangs into my flesh. Mine. Mine. He growled. I gasped, stifling my scream. My body trembled as the bond flared to life, searing through me like wildfire. Amazingly, my fangs also slipped out of my gums, and without thinking twice, I marked him. He snarled, realizing what I did, cupping the back of my head and pressing it hard on his neck. Lucien reluctantly removed his fangs from me and licked over the mark, sealing it. I did the same with him. Goddess. Now the emotions that surged through me were so primal. He set me on my feet and we turned to Bram. Lucien's eyes glowed gold, primal and fierce. She is mine, he growled. I'm her second chance mate. His words shocked me. My second chance mate? But it felt natural. My gaze locked onto Bram's stunned face. I said in a loud voice for everyone to hear, You seem to have forgotten. I already accepted your rejection several days ago. And until those papers are signed, I'm still Lucien's wife. But now I'm his mate. Bram's face darkened, rage flashing in his eyes. All the elders stared at us, bewildered as hell. Lucien pulled me closer and smirked. Guess you'll have to find another mate. Suddenly, all the phones in the hall chimed together. A video surfaced, Auren POV. The moment Lucien sank his fangs into my neck, something inside me twisted and snapped. A sharp electric jolt pulsed through me. The last remains of whatever bond that once anchored me to Bram severed. It felt as if a violent chain was yanked from my soul and left a hollow ache in its wake. However, the next moment, Lucien's bond surged. It was so fierce, wrapping around my heart rapidly like wildfire, that it burned away any trace of my past. My breath hitched as warmth flooded my chest, my blood. I trembled in Lucien's hold. Mate, I breathed. I now belonged to him, completely. And I realized that nothing ever felt more right. The thorns in my tattoo prickled for a split second before releasing me. They had shackled my soul for so long, but that shackle vanished, and I felt free, euphoric. What was happening? I didn't know. I didn't want to know. But I wanted to flow in this feeling, forever. The air pulsed around us as the bond snapped into its place. People around us froze, and silence blanketed the trial room. With my heart thundering in my chest, I looked at him with wide eyes, realization dawning upon me. His eyes had that knowing look. "Yes," he murmured. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked in a low voice. He was my second chance mate, but he didn't tell me about it and kept suffering alone. Why didn't I recognize him as my mate? Because the last remnants of my bond with Bram still had me tethered to him? Or was it because my wolf retreated? That something inside me stirred, like it woke up from slumber, like the chains that bound it broke. "What the fuck have you done?" Bram roared, interrupting us. "You cheated!" I looked at him, still amazed. Shaking my head, I said, "No, Bram, I didn't cheat. It was you who rejected me. Remember? It was you who sold me as a breeder to Alpha Lucien in order to secure a treaty for an alliance. You did all this because you didn't want to marry an Omega, even though I was your moon mate, because you wanted to marry someone with superior blood, Maris. Both you and Maris crafted this plan to get rid of me. You bartered me like I was a commodity for your benefit, even though you knew that Alpha Lucien was cursed. Any bride he would take was going to die within a year." His eyes burned with fury. "You belong to me, Auren," he shouted. "You are mine." "No, Bram, that ship has sailed." I looked at Lucien tenderly. "But Moon Goddess gave me a second chance mate in the form of none other than Alpha Lucien. He is my true mate, and I thank the goddess for granting me a wolf like him." Bram was so furious that he stormed toward me with a growl. But before he could reach me, Tarion and other wolves came in between us. Tarion's fangs slipped out. He caught Bram's throat and growled, "If you touch my Luna, I will make sure that you no longer exist in this world." Bram growled back, but it felt like he didn't have the same ferocity he exhibited earlier. Also, how was it possible that Tarion, a beta, was able to hold him strongly by his throat? Surely, as an alpha, Bram was stronger and should face him. But Bram managed to remove his hand with difficulty from his throat and stumbled back. I don't know why, but on an instinct, I felt like he was weaker. Or maybe I was imagining. You are going to pay for this," Bram threatened me. "You killed Sable, and the council is going to throw you in prison, and if they don't, then you will die within a year," he cursed. I chuckled dryly. "At least I will die an honorable death, and not as a slave in your pack. I should have known that you were nothing but a fucking lowly, backstabbing Omega. I regret helping you. All I wanted was to save you, and look how you treated me." Bram fumed. "Maris is so much better than you." I narrowed my eyes at him as Lucien let out a dangerous growl. "You say one more thing about my mate from your shitty mouth, and I'll forget that we are standing in the grounds of the High Council." From the periphery of my vision, I saw that all the High Council guards surrounded us, along with witches, because the situation turned tense. All at once, there was a chime on everyone's phone. Lucien took his phone out, and his brows furrowed when he tapped on the message. It was a video. I noticed that everyone was now looking at their cell phones. The video flickered to life on every screen, illuminating their shocked faces. "What is going on?" Elder Vincent's loud voice boomed in the room. He was hating whatever was happening in his trial. I was sure that this was the first time he experienced so much chaos. Even his mind was whirling with what was going on. A staff member walked to him hurriedly with the phone. He murmured something in his ear, and Vincent watched the video in stunned silence. "What is it?" I asked, feeling apprehensive. Lucien's jaw dropped as he looked at the video. "Fuck!" he rasped. "What is it?" I was now on the edge. "Look at it," he said, giving it to me. In the video, Sable was lounging in a dimly lit room, swirling a glass of wine. Around her, the four supposedly dead wolves laughed as they clinked their glasses and raised them in a mock toast. Sable sipped her wine and smirked. "Did you see how I tricked them all? The High Council, Lucien, that pathetic Auren. All of them are so sure that I am dead." She let out a delighted chuckle, tilting her head. "I played them like fools." One of the wolves leaned forward, grinning. "You think they'll figure it out?" She scoffed. "Please, they can never. I had help, of course. Without them, I wouldn't have." But how did you manage to manipulate them to the level that you even sent this case to the High Council? Another wolf asked, leaning back on his chair. She laughed and shook her head. Well, I asked my father to talk to Elder Peter beforehand. I had this all planned out much in advance. After I attacked Auren in the alley, she fucking injured me. I ensured that the news traveled to Elder Peter as fast as possible. After that, he filed the case against Auren, and the ball rolled beautifully. All the wolves looked at her with astonishment. Wow, Sable, you're awesome! She did a mock bow and shrugged. Of course I am! That sick bitch Auren is nothing in front of me. She dared to take my place. Now look what I'll do to her. She will rot in the High Council prison. But who helped you? The first wolf asked. She raised her eyebrow and opened her mouth to say something, but the video went static. The screen went black. Silence hung heavy in the air before chaos exploded in the room. Auren POV. The council hall exploded into chaos. Gasps and murmurs filled the air as the video ended. There was a stunned silence that lasted only a heartbeat. Then, all at once, voices clashed in outrage. She's alive! Elder Vincent exclaimed, rising to his feet in shock. She tricked the High Council, another elder shouted, slamming his fist on the table. She framed Luna Auren for murder, a Shadowfang pack woman shouted. How could we be so blind? Tarion growled, his claws extending in fury. Fucking bitch! Lucien snarled, his face twisting with fury. The High Council was deceived. Our justice system was made a mockery of. An elder on the right growled. Shouts overlapped. Suddenly, the whole place was a chaotic storm of rage and disbelief. The High Council warriors exchanged uneasy glances as they waited for orders from the elders. All the wolves murmured among themselves. Rage was evident on their faces. Some of the warriors who had accompanied Tarion to the alley that day had embarrassment etched on their faces. The betrayal ran deep. Sable had not only fooled them all, but she made them her puppets. Her plan was so perfect that it led the council to believe that she was murdered, even though she was alive and enjoying herself at a remote location. I'll fucking find her even from the depths of hell and kill her. Slowly and painfully. Lucien growled as he pulled me closer to his, grabbing my waist. As for me, I was stunned. I could never believe that Sable would go to such lengths just to prove that she was superior to me. It was her blind ambitions that led her to her downfall. But where is she? I asked. And who sent this video? Lucien clenched his teeth as he watched the video again to make out her location. The video was shot in a cabin. There are thousands of cabins in this part of the country. Then he looked at the number. It's unknown number. His brows furrowed. It looks like the sender has done a great deal to hide his number. He was scared that if his name was revealed, he would be hunted. I sighed and looked at the elders. My eyes went to Elder Peter, and I was surprised to see that he, who had stood so confidently against me moments ago, who had called me in his chamber to talk to Bram, turned ghostly pale. His hands trembled as he clutched the edge of the table. His eyes darted around like a trapped animal. Then suddenly he bolted toward the exit. "Stop him!" Elder Vincent roared. Guards reacted instantly. 4 warriors caught him by arms and shoved him to his knees. He struggled, but in vain. He couldn't escape as the witches immediately came and shackled him with their magic. My eyes went to Bram, who stood frozen. The smirk that he had was gone. It was replaced by a look of sheer horror. His fists clenched, his throat bobbing as he swallowed hard. I chuckled because I was sure he wasn't expecting this. Oh, how the tables turned. I leaned over to Lucien and said, "Bram met me in Elder Peter's chamber." "Why?" Lucien looked pissed off. "He offered me a solution to be free. He said that he was going to tell them all that he was my moonmate." "This bastard!" I chuckled. But what Bram didn't know was that I was waiting for him to help me be free. Once he did that, I asked Lucien to mark me. By marking me, Lucien became my moonmate. "I'm going to complain about him." Lucien growled as he glared at Bram. "No, Lucien," I stopped him. "He will deny meeting me." Just then Elder Vincent declared, "This changes everything. The case against Auren is officially dismissed. Sable Brown is alive, but she is hiding somewhere. I order the High Council warriors to search her and get her here as soon as possible. She is now the culprit of the High Council. Issue a notice on my behalf to all the Alphas to hand her over to High Council if they find her. Else, and action will be taken against them for harboring her. Relief crashed over me like a tidal wave. I was free. Elder Vincent looked at me, his eyes softening. We apologized to Luna Auren. She is free to go. Emotions choked in my throat as our pack members cheered all around us. Goosebumps lined my skin. Lucien picked me up in his arms from my waist and crashed his lips on mine. I opened up for him, curling my arms around his neck, slipping my fingers in his silky hair. Goddess, I missed him so much. But this kiss was much more than earlier. It felt like he wanted to claim me, and I wanted him to claim me. I didn't care if I died after a year, but I wanted to die as his mate. When he finally put me down on my feet, he rested his forehead on mine. I love you, Auren. I'll always love you. I started loving you the day I saw you, he breathed. I love you too, Lucien. Once again, the crowd around us erupted in cheers. Long live Alpha and Luna. As Lucien held my hand firmly and walked out of the trial room, my gaze went to Bram. He was staring at me, looking defeated. Josh, his beta, was murmuring something in his ear, but he was focused on me only. I flipped my hair over my shoulder and walked out. We didn't know who sent the video, but it saved us. I wanted to thank the person who sent it, but one thing was sure, whoever sent it didn't like Bram. And I knew this was far from over. As we stepped out of the High Council's building, the weight of trial finally lifted from my chest. The cool air kissed my skin. I felt relieved, but I could sense through the bond that it did nothing to douse the fire that burned in Lucien's chest. His grip on my waist was so firm and possessive, like he feared I would disappear if he let go of me. We're going home, he murmured. Home. For the first time, the word felt real. It wasn't just a place, it was him. My Alpha came with me to the High Council and was returning back with me. I suspected that if the trial continued, he wouldn't have left me at all. My chest filled with pride and warmth as I leaned on his shoulder during the journey back to the Shadowfang pack. He picked me up in his lap. Lucien hadn't spoken much all the way, but his grip on me never loosened. When we arrived at the house, the guards and Omegas bowed, murmuring, Alpha, Luna, in reverence. Vivi was there with moist eyes. The way they addressed me sent a thrill through me, but I barely had time to dwell on it before Lucien swept me inside the bedroom and slammed the doors shut. Auren POV. As soon as he slammed the door shut, Lucien turned to me, his chest rising and falling. His eyes were wild and his muscles were taut as if he was barely holding himself. She is out there. That fucking piece of shit, Sable, is out there. She thought that she would win, but I will hunt her down. He exhaled sharply, his hands clenched into fists. I'm going to make her curse the day she was born. I stepped closer to him and pressed my hand to his chest. We'll find her, I said in a reassuring voice. But let's celebrate this little win. I have 1,000 questions in my mind to ask you. But those questions jumbled up when I looked at my mark he was carrying. His gaze locked with mine, so dark and intense that my breath hitched. I will tear the world apart for what she did to you, Auren. His voice was raw, filled with emotion. But tonight, I can't think of her. I've finally found my mate, marked her. The moon goddess must be benevolent to me. I swallowed as he cupped my face. His hand skimmed over my bottom lip. I could feel his restraint slipping, and the mate bond pulling us together like a force of nature. I need you so badly, Auren, he rasped. His forehead rested against mine as his warm breath fanned my face. I've been holding back far too long. After all the hardships we'd been through, we both needed each other. And I wanted him to guide me to whatever was going to happen between us. The heat between us was suffocating, even electric. My heart pounded in my chest as his fingers brushed my waist. How was it that his touch set my akin aflame? Tonight, we won't think about Sable, he said. Tonight, we are just us. Oh, goddess. The air between us crackled with raw and untamed energy. His breath turned heavy as his eyes flashed golden with dark desires. I barely had a second to brace myself with what was coming ahead when he crashed his lips to mine. He held me firmly against him with trembling hands. You're mine, he growled against my lips, holding me tightly as if trying to merge our bodies together. My pulse raced. Lucien. He silenced me with another kiss, deeper this time. His tongue claimed my mouth, demanding submission. I melted against him as his fingers thread through my hair. He grabbed them and tugged hard to the point of pain as his tongue explored my mouth. He groaned as his body pressed me against the wall. The heat radiating off him sank into my bones, igniting my veins with fire. "You drive me insane," he rasped as he grazed his fangs on my bottom lip. I whimpered in response. "You have been mine since the moment I saw you." His grip on my hips tightened as he pressed deeper. Mine to touch, mine to ruin, mine to worship. In his frenzy, he bit my bottom lip. "You can't escape me, Auren. There'll be no one else. And tonight," his voice turned rough, "tonight I'll claim you." "Say you're mine," he commanded. "I'm yours, Lucien," I whimpered, meeting his gaze. "You're so soft, so perfect," he said in a voice strained with the effort of holding back. His rough hands roamed around my bare skin as if he was memorizing every curve of mine. I should have never waited this long. "Tell me you want this," he growled, now barely restrained. "Yes, please," I panted. "I want." "Are you okay?" he asked in an animalistic voice. Sweat dripped from his body because he was unable to control himself. His eyes shone golden because his wolf wasn't going down. Remus wanted this as much as he wanted it, and it warmed my heart how Remus, his beast, was controlling himself. "I wanted you so badly, Auren," he groaned, his voice rough with emotion. "I wanted to do this the night I saw you wrapped in a towel like a present." Auren POV. Despite all the sable that I had to deal with, despite all the she-wolves who wanted to be in my shoes, and despite all those who hated me, I wanted to be Lucien's. I wanted to surrender to him, submit to him, and be his in every possible way. Initially, I was so insecure, but he reassured me in his own way, slowly and carefully. He suffered on his own by not revealing that I was his mate, even though he knew it the day I accepted Bram's rejection. My beautiful, beautiful mate. He did it all for me because he didn't want to push me, because he knew that I had suffered a terrible rejection, and because I didn't have it in me to accept the moon goddess's fate. I wasn't the perfect-looking girl, a thin, starved omega who had so many flaws, yet he never saw those flaws. He always found me beautiful. The moonlight spilled through the curtains, bathing us in its beautiful, calming glow. I was tucked against his chest. My fingers idly traced the lines, the indents of his muscles, while he buried his face in my hair, inhaling deeply every other minute. "You smell like me," he murmured in a voice laced with satisfaction. He chuckled as his arms tightened around me. "No, you don't get it, baby. You smell like mine." He tipped my chin up and brushed his lips over mine in that soft, lazy, indulgent way. "Say it." My cheeks warmed. "I smell like I'm yours." His chest rumbled with pure satisfaction. I tried to get up, but he snaked his arm around me and yanked me right back into his chest. He smirked at me, looking utterly satisfied. "Where do you think you're going?" I rolled my eyes. "To the bathroom, you beast." He trailed his fingers down my spine, leaving shivers in their wake. "Not yet." "Lucien, I have to." He kissed my lips and then grinned in pure arrogance. "You can't walk yet, can you?" I shot him a glare. "I can walk." He cocked an eyebrow smugly and released me. When I tried to sit up, my legs wobbled. Lucien beamed. The arrogant prick actually beamed. "That's my girl," he said and scooped me in his arms. "What are you doing?" I asked, wrapping my arms around his neck. "Taking you to the bathroom, baby. You'll need my help for the next few days." I blushed deep, but he only smirked and set me on feet in the bathroom. "Get out," I hissed. "Why?" he asked. "You're mine. You can pee in front of me." "Mr. Lucien Vaslov," I growled. "Get out." He laughed. "Okay, Mrs. Vaslov." He stepped out, closing the door behind him. Lucien POV. I heard her taking a bath, but no amount of washing was going to erase my smell of her. Not that she was trying to, but I wanted to think like that. I had never felt so much peace in my life. Even Remus was literally purring inside me, wagging his tail every time she smiled at us. The fucker had knotted himself inside her. The werewolves knotted inside their mates, and only when they wanted them to be pregnant. Well, what could I say? Even I wanted Auren pregnant with my pups. And that led me to another thought. As if understanding what I was thinking, Auren came out of the bathroom and said, "We must go to the shaman to talk about the tattoos, Lucien." She picked up my discarded shirt and wore it. All my thoughts about shaman tossed out of my mind. I replied as I watched how beautiful she looked in it. She was practically swallowed in it. My scent was all over her. There was a subtle change in her scent. It happened when wolves marked each other. I was so afraid that she wouldn't be able to take my mark because it wasn't easy to bear the mark of a wolf like Remus. Our venom was strong. But look at her. Not only my mark sat in her proudly, she appeared to be bearing it without repercussions. I think it was those herbs that helped her, or was it that she was meant for me? She belonged to me now, in every possible way. Except one. I intended to take her ass one day. Soon. I was pretty sure that everyone in the manor and in the pack heard what we had done. The werewolves had sensitive noses and ears. The fact was that I wanted them all to hear that I was claiming Auren, Lucien POV. The next morning I had to take an urgent meeting, but I didn't want to go. "You're getting late," Auren chided me playfully as I kissed her again. "Do we have to go?" I asked her. "This is our honeymoon, and I'm sure that honeymooning couples can stay naked in their room for weeks. No one is going to disturb us." Her eyebrows shot to her hairline as a blush crept on her cheeks. "Alpha Lucien, have you forgotten that you have to run the pack's business? And you really need to see the shaman." "The shaman again?" "Yeah, I had to talk to him about the tattoos, and I think I had to visit the Eldermere ruins again. I don't know why, but I felt like it was calling me. Besides, I want to meet the pack members." Her words snapped me out of my thoughts. There was trepidation in her voice. I curled my fingers beneath her chin and tipped her face up. "You're my mate, Auren. They'll not mess with you." She sighed. "I'm still an Omega." Remus growled inside me like a maniac. "We will hunt all those who treat her badly." "We will." As I walked out of the room for the first time in 2 days, I felt lighter, like someone entirely new, better, and so satisfied that I didn't give a shit to my enemies or the world. Auren was mine. I grinned harder. I was sure that everyone in the house knew what we were doing. So as I walked down the stairs with that shit-eating grin, all of them watched me. Good, they should all know. Just as I was on the landing, I called her. "Why don't you come down? I'd like to go to the meeting with you." "Are you sure?" she asked, puzzled. "Of course." The door of the room opened immediately, and she rushed out, looking so beautiful in her pink shirt and denim skirt. Her shirt had a round neck, showing the mark on her shoulder. As she came down, she became aware of how people noticed her. She blushed, feeling embarrassed. I should be feeling sorry for her, but I grinned more. I grasped her hand and intertwined my fingers with hers. Together we walked to the meeting room with my grin intact. I felt like I was in a haze. All the war that Remus had waged inside my head had gone. Auren gave me the shirt she was carrying with her. "Here," she said. "You should wear it for the meeting." I took it from her and tossed it behind us, making her gasp. The guards opened the door of the meeting room, and I walked at the head of the table, shirtless. Everyone, the council members, Tarion and elders, stared at me in shock, but Elder Rhina smirked knowingly. I made Auren sit beside me on the right. She turned rigid as people stared at us and flushed deeply. Tarion, who was now sitting on the left, coughed awkwardly. "Alpha Lucien, do you need to, put on a shirt?" I grinned as I stretched lazily, the muscles in my shoulders rippling. "Why?" I asked with amusement. I tilted my head toward Auren and smirked. "I got a few marks on my back. They need air." Auren's face burned and her eyes widened as if saying, "You're an absolute menace." Tarion didn't say anything after that and sat in his seat, shaking his head. I heard Elder Rhina chuckling as other council members hid their faces to laugh or chuckle. And I grinned again. Taking a deep breath in, I declared, "From today onwards, my Luna, my mate, and my wife is going to be a part of all the important decisions of this pack. She will head every event that a Luna should. Any insult to her will be considered a direct insult to me." I roamed my eyes on all those who were in the meeting. "Is that clear?" "Yes, Alpha," they replied in unison. "Also, I want a full report of Bram's movements now." We discussed some other important topics, and during all that time, I had my hand on Auren's thigh. It was as if I couldn't stay without touching her. "Alpha Lucien," Elder Orland said, "since Auren is our Luna, it is vital that we get her official warrior training." "Yes, I back that," another council member said. "She should know how to skillfully combat with enemies if need be." "I'd love to," Auren blurted. "Not only that, if it is okay with you, I will assign an experienced she-wolf to train her about her duties as the Luna of the pack," Elder Rhina suggested. "Sure, Elder Rhina," I replied. Training her as the Luna was vital for a large pack like mine. When the meeting got over, along with Tyrion, we went to the training arena. All the warriors paused mid-fight, their eyes darting to us. The reason? I was in nothing but my black slacks, my mark on full display, and her claiming scratches decorating my back, biceps, and chest. I knew exactly what I was doing. Tyrion chuckled, shaking his head. "You're ridiculous." I smirked as I rolled my shoulders, making sure the claw marks were obvious. "What? It is just a little reminder that I'm very taken." Auren glared at me, horrified. "Do you have to parade yourself like this?" she hissed under her breath. I leaned in, my breath fanning her ear. "You're the one who marked me so deep, little wolf. I'm showing off your handiwork." Her mouth fell open. "Cocky bastard!" "Luna Auren, let me take you to the head Gamma warrior who will train you," Tyrion said. "Thanks, Tyrion," she smiled at him. Ugly head of jealousy rose in my head as I watched her leave with Tyrion. They both talked amiably. "Luna Auren," Walter bowed to her. "It'll be a pleasure to train you." I gritted my teeth. I stormed to her and tried my best to act casually by wrapping an arm around her shoulders from behind and pulling her into my chest. My hand landed on her mating mark. My fingers caressed it possessively in a low and deliberate manner. Walter tensed, wisely stepping back. Auren was shocked. She grabbed my arm with both her hands. "What are you doing?" I said, "Baby, have I mentioned how good you look claimed?" She elbowed me, her cheeks blazing. "Lucien, we are in public." I chuckled, ignoring her protest. I rubbed my thumb over the mark again, deliberately. She shuddered against me. I loved her reaction. Leaning over her ear, I whispered, "I know. Let them all see." Then I looked at Walter and scowled. "She will begin her training from tomorrow, and if I see a fucking bruise on her body, I'll pummel you." Walter flinched. "Yes, Alpha." Auren shook her head, but I had enough, so I caught her by wrist and tugged her out of the arena. "We have to visit the shaman." Auren POV. The journey to the shaman house was quiet, filled with tension. Tyrion was with us as we went to his house. Lucien seemed to be preoccupied in his thoughts as we sat in the car. I took his hand in mine and kissed his knuckles. "What are you thinking?" I asked. He sighed. "The last time I went to the Eldermere ruins, it was—" He clenched his teeth. "Disastrous." "Why, what happened?" "You wouldn't want to know," he replied, his eyes going to the forest outside. The shadow wolves circled me, and his breath became labored, and he shuddered. "It was horrible," Tyrion completed his sentence. "They circled him for several hours. They kept whirling around him as if punishing him for something he never did. It was impossible for us to reach him. We all thought that." Tyrion shook his head, his body shaking at the memory. "We thought he would die." Immediately my grip on his hand tightened, fear settling in my bones. "What? Goddess!" "Why didn't you tell me?" "Please tell me what they do to you." Lucien covered my hand with his large one. The shadows entered my body and grasped me in a way I couldn't move. It seemed like they were punishing me for the mistake my ancestor made. The thorns in my body dug in my flesh, drawing blood. Had it not been for Remus, I would have succumbed to the injury. By the time they left me, I was lying in the pool of blood. I gasped, slapping my mouth with my hand. Tears stung my eyes. "Why did you do that, Lucien?" I asked. He looked at me with tenderness. Cupping my cheeks, he said, "I did it for you, baby. I wanted to find a solution to mark you." I couldn't stop my tears this time, and they slipped. "Oh, Lucien," I rasped and hugged him tightly. "Why would you do something so reckless?" I scolded him. "Promise me you won't do it again." My emotions were all over the place. The feeling of helplessness was huge. Because of me, he had suffered a lot. And my poor Alpha didn't even tell me about it, choosing to suffer alone. "Stop feeling guilty, Auren," he said softly as he stroked my back. "You are my mate, and I'll do anything to have you. You can't understand how I was feeling all those days for not being able to mark you. But now," he kissed the crown of my head, "there's a bigger problem." I tipped my head up to look at him. "What problem?" He swallowed hard. "The Bridebane's curse. I've marked you, and—" He closed his eyes as a pained expression came on his face. I understood him. "Alpha Lucien, even if I'm here with you for a year, it is worth it." He clutched me tighter. "No, I don't want you to leave me, and if you will, I'll follow you. I can't live without you. Ever." I buried my face in the crook of his neck. because now I had to find a way for him to keep going on with his life after me. After everything that happened in the past, the exposure of Sable, the chaos of the trial, Bram's evil plans going down, and our return as victors, this moment felt heavier than everything else. "Never say that again," I murmured. "I want you to live and live long. There's no life without you, darling." The shaman's home was nestled deep in the heart of the woods in the north of the pack's territory. It was an ancient wooden hut. Vines curled around the weathered walls. Surrounded by a fence, it had a lovely garden with various flowers gently swaying in the breeze. From the looks of these, I knew they were mostly herbs and not decorative plants. I was surprised that he stayed in such a humble abode when he could have stayed within the pack and in luxury. A shiver ran down my spine as the shaman opened the heavy wooden door. "Alpha, Luna." He bowed to us, his wrinkly face bursting in a smile. Tarion followed us inside a room where the air was thick with incense and herbs burning in a brazier. Shelves lined the walls that were stacked with scrolls, dried herbs, and objects I couldn't name. "Please sit," he said, waving at a bench on the side. As we sat down, he kept his curious gaze on us. "I can feel that you are already changing, Alpha Lucien." Lucien tensed beside me. "What do you mean?" The shaman's lips curled into a small, knowing smile. "I can see that those tattoos are fading. Can you show me the marks?" Lucien removed his shirt without hesitation as if hoping for some miracle, revealing the dark thorned vines that curled over his arms, chest, and shoulders. The shaman's sharp gaze flickered with surprise. "Can you show me your mark, Luna Auren?" he said in a gentle voice. I looked at Lucien, who nodded. I turned slowly and opened the first few buttons of my shirt to reveal my back. Lucien gasped as he touched me over my birth tattoo. "What is it?" I asked, trembling slightly. He traced the spot where my golden moon tattoo was. "It's gone," he rasped. "Gone?" I was totally confused. "You mean the tattoo is gone?" "No, the thorny vines." The shaman's breath caught. "Impossible." "What?" I asked, my voice uncertain. "What's impossible, and how can there be a change in my tattoo?" Shaman came near to me. He brushed his fingers over the space where my mark was. "The thorny vines have completely disappeared, Alpha Lucien, and I believe that this mark is related to your curse." He stepped back, his eyes widening. "This golden moon on your back, it looks exactly like the moon I saw over the altar. It looked like it was shackled by the vines. Goddess, this can be groundbreaking. This is amazing. Is Auren a curse breaker of the Shadowfang pack?" "Me?" It was such a ridiculous thought. That curse is ancient, unyielding. How can I be the one? Not possible. I was an Omega. Silence shrouded the room as everyone looked at me with wonder, as I felt like this was bigger than any of us. Lucien's hands tightened into fists, his anxiety palpable through our bond. "Does this mean the curse is breaking? Does this mean that Auren is the one who the alphas of the Shadowfang were waiting for?" The shaman didn't answer right away. Instead, he moved closer to Lucien. His fingers hovered over the fading dark vines on his torso. There was a wolf tattoo on the right of his chest with a small moon over it. It was all black when I noticed it earlier, but now it was mimicking the one I carried on my back. It had a soft golden glow. Excitement surged through my body as I stared at it. Before I could speak, the shaman spoke. "Yours too is fading, but the vines haven't faded completely." He traced a single thorn curling over Lucien's shoulder. "Some of it remains. It clings to you." "So what does it mean?" Tarion asked, equally bewildered. "Is it not over, or is it over?" Auren POV. The shaman hummed, stepping back. "Not yet." He went to a chest that was placed in the corner of the room. He opened it and took out a pile of old, crumbling scrolls. After we returned from the Eldermere ruins, I went to our archives and found these in an abandoned rack. Carefully, he unrolled a parchment. I read about this curse in it, and it says that the Bridebane's curse can only be broken by a bride of an alpha. He looked at me. "And so far, in all these centuries, you are the only bride a Shadowfang alpha has taken." His words were like weight crushing my chest. I was puzzled. How was this possible? I don't think I am the one," I said hesitantly. "How can an Omega like me be a curse breaker? There has to be a mistake." My lips quivered. The shaman looked at me with a soft smile. "There can be no mistake in Moon Goddess's work. You are Alpha Lucien's mate. Mates are rare, and to think of it that your first chance mate rejected you." What would have happened if he hadn't rejected you? What would have happened if you had never come to this pack? He kept the scrolls carefully on a table and walked to me. Taking my hands in his, he said, "You could be the one we've been waiting for centuries. So don't underestimate your value. You're not an Omega anymore. You are the Luna of the strongest pack of the North, the Shadowfang pack." I didn't realize that tears were streaming down my face until Lucien wrapped an arm around my shoulders and pulled me to him. The weight of Shaman's words fell on me heavily. "What do I do now?" I asked with quivering lips. Lucien nudged me to sit down on the bench and held me close to him. When I met his gaze, there was reverence in it. Tarian made a sound that seemed like a squeal. When we gazed at him, he appeared excited with wide eyes. He was looking at me like I was the prized possession of the Shadowfang pack. "Alpha Lucien, I think I will increase the protection around our Luna." Lucien chuckled. "Do what you want to." Then he kissed the crown of my head. "I know you are feeling unsettled because of all this." I pursed my lips and nodded. "See, I understand your anxiety, Luna Auren," the shaman intervened. "But we have to keep it a secret. You can't reveal it to anyone until we are all sure about it." "So how do we ascertain it?" Lucien asked. "There is only one place where we can understand more about it," he said. "Eldermere Ruins." I exchanged a glance with Lucien as he stiffened beside me. The shaman looked between us. "The shadow wolves will recognize your marks. They will know what has changed, and if there's a way to sever the curse completely, they will be the ones to reveal it." I swallowed hard. "What if they don't?" "Then you must be prepared for what they demand in return." A cold chill shot down my spine. "We have to go there on the next full moon," Shaman said. "But this time both of you must go together." A tense silence settled on all of us. Eldermere experiences were bone-chilling. After a few seconds, Lucien exhaled sharply. His hand rested on my lower back. "We will go." The shaman nodded once. "Then may the moon goddess guide you, Alpha, and your mate." He picked up the scrolls and kept them in the chest. "The next full moon is a week away. I'll remind you then." We all returned with excitement, anxiety, and so many emotions cruising through us that we didn't know what to talk about. We all sat in silence, except that I was in Lucien's lap. He had wrapped his arms around me like I was a treasure he had found after years of struggle. Tarian would keep glancing at us every once in a while through the rear-view mirror. There was a gleam in his eyes and he would mutter something under his breath. By the time we reached home, I saw that there was an army of guards sprawling all across the lawns. Not only that, there were warriors in the house, stationed at every door. The Omegas looked terrified, but Lucien opened his mind link and said, "The warriors are for your Luna's protection." Did I just hear him, or was it my imagination? "There is no need to worry," he added, putting a hand on my lower back to guide me to our room. I stopped. "Lucien, did you say it aloud that these guards are for me?" I asked with a frown. He raised an eyebrow. "No, I opened my mind link and—" He stopped, blinking at me. I blinked at him. Once. "I could hear you." He gulped, his chest rising and falling. "You could?" When I nodded, he stared at me. "Can you really hear me, Auren?" he asked without moving his lips. "I can! I can hear you!" "Fuck!" he rasped. Then he picked me and whirled me with laughter bubbling from his throat. "You can listen to my thoughts." I squealed, laughing along with him. When he set me on my feet, he cupped my face. "This is awesome." Suddenly my mind filled with so many different conversations that I shut my ears with my hands. It was like I heard all the warriors, Omegas, Gammas, pups, everyone in the pack. "Stop! All of you!" I shouted. Silence followed. Like everyone in the pack became quiet. Lucien's eyes widened in surprise. "Fuck, you commanded them all?" "Did I? Oh my God. I didn't mean to," I said in a shaky voice. But Lucien laughed. "My Luna," he said proudly. Then he guided me to our room. As soon as he shut the door, he said, "This is getting intense, Auren. Now everyone knows that you can communicate with them via mind, so you have to learn how to block people. Otherwise, they'll know what you are doing all the time." I flopped on the bed. "That would be an invasion of privacy." "Exactly," he said, and came to sit in front of me. "I'll teach you how to block, don't worry." I let out a rough exhale. So much was happening with me. But for the entire day, Lucien didn't go to attend his pack business. Instead, he taught me how to shield my thoughts. It wasn't easy. The next day I went for training. Walter was present in the arena. He bowed to me. "Luna Auren, I'm going to start you with basic training first." My muscles burned. Sweat trickled down my spine. I grunted as I landed on the ground with a harsh thud. I gritted my teeth, pushing myself back onto my feet. Proper training was an entirely different ballgame. "Again," Walter ordered, his arms crossed over his chest. I adjusted my stance. He had been relentless over the past 3 days with endless drills, sparring matches, and painful corrections. There were many bruises on my body, but I didn't complain. I lunged at him. He deflected my attack. Twisting my wrist, he sent me sprawling onto my back. "Too slow," he criticized. Auren POV. "Why do you hesitate before striking?" Walter said in a harsh tone. "Your enemy won't give you that chance." I clenched my fists as frustration bubbled in my chest. "I'm trying." "Trying won't keep you alive," Walter responded. "Come on, show me your best," he said, taking a stance with his curled fists in the air. I lunged at him with force and managed to strike his ribs. He grunted and punched me back, but I spun, and his punch landed on my upper arm. I chuffed in pain as I stumbled back. I knew that this was going to bruise for the entire day. "See, I told you, you aren't fast enough," Walter stated. Before I could respond, a deep voice cut through the air. "She is improving." I stiffened, my head snapping to the side. Lucien stood at the edge of the ring, his arms folded over his bare chest as he watched me with that fierce expression. My cheeks heated. Walter huffed. "Maybe, but it's not enough." Lucien narrowed his eyes. He jumped in the ring and strode to me. Then he looked at my arm where the bruise had begun to become blue. "You hit my Luna," he said to Walter as he examined my injury. "Alpha Lucien, Walter paled. "He is teaching me the moves, Lucien," I said, removing my arm. "This is going to happen." "Alpha, with all due respect," Walter intervened. I said, "That's enough," Lucien said in a silky smooth voice, but I could tell from the look in Walter's eyes that he felt the command in his bones. I met his eyes with my angry ones. "Lucien," I huffed, "I still have one more set to go." He smirked as his eyes traveled down my body, lingering on the thin sheet of sweat coating my collarbone. "And yet, here you are, looking like you are ready to collapse into my arms. Seems like a good time to stop." I rolled my eyes. This wolf was just too much. "I'm fine. Don't you have other pack businesses to attend to?" Ignoring my last sentence, he winked at me. He stepped closer and brushed his knuckles over my jaw, his other hand settling on my waist. "Are you fine? Because to me, you look like you need a break." His lips quirked. Maybe even some attention. Heat flared in my cheeks. "Lucien!" "Auren!" My name rolled out from his tongue in a far too sinful way for the middle of a training arena. Walter cleared his throat. "Alpha Lucien, if you're going to steal my student, at least let me know if I should come back tomorrow or not." Without looking at him, Lucien said, "You should, but I'll decide how you will teach her." I gaped at him. "You're not going to." "Yes, I am," he said as he traced circles on my waist, completely unbothered by the people around us. Some of them were chuckling now. "Your well-being is my priority." I narrowed my eyes. "You're just using that excuse to hover. Step, please attend to your pack business, and not me. Thank you very much." I stepped away, but he tugged me closer. "Hover?" He leaned and brushed his lips over my ear. "Sweetheart, I'm not hovering. I'm keeping close what's mine. Go, Lucien. You're distracting me." Gosh, I think my ears were on fire. His lips grazed my temple as he whispered, "Aren't I a lovely distraction?" My breath hitches as a shiver ran down my spine. Why was it that my body developed its own mind in his vicinity? "Walter has to teach me a bit more," I said firmly, though I was shaking inside. Lucien narrowed his eyes. "Let's see if you can win against me," he drawled. I froze. "You want to fight with me?" He stepped back a little, cracked his neck, and rolled his shoulders. "Why not? If you are so eager to fight, fight me." It was my time to narrow my eyes on him. He was jealous of Walter. "Why are you here, Lucien?" I asked. He took a stance and curled his index finger in a gesture to call me. "You're just looking for an excuse to manhandle me, aren't you?" His grin was pure sin. Would that be a problem? My pulse skittered, and I so wanted to wipe that smug look off his face. "Fine," I said, stepping back into position. "But no holding back." He chuckled. "Oh, darling, I wasn't planning to." Walter jumped out of the arena, muttering something about newly mated mates and their insufferable need to show off. I lunged first, aiming to strike his ribs. He sidestepped effortlessly as if he was expecting it. I pivoted and sent a punch toward his head, but he ducked, closing the distance between us in a blink. Before I could react, he caught my wrist, twisted sharply, and had me pinned against his chest. "Too slow," he murmured against my ear. A shiver ran down me. Grunting, I elbowed him in the stomach and broke free. His eyes flared with amusement, pride, and desire. I launched into another attack, keeping my movements swift and precise, but he simply kept dodging them like it was a child's play for him. Frustration burned through me. Gritting my teeth, I snapped, "Stop holding back, Alpha Lucien." He smirked. "As you wish, little wolf." And then he moved. It was a blur of motion, too fast for me to understand. Before I could react, he grabbed my waist, lifted me and twisted my waist midair, and suddenly I was falling. I shrieked, bracing myself to hit the ground. But instead of hitting the ground, Lucien shifted beneath me, taking the impact himself. I landed on top of him, sprawled across his hard-muscled frame with my hands braced against his chest. With my eyes wide, I sucked in a breath as my pulse beat wildly. "What the hell?" I growled as I tried to move. His hands slid over my hips, holding me in place. "Well," he said with amusement, "isn't this an interesting position?" My face flamed. "Lucien," I hissed, trying to push up, but his grip tightened as he kept me exactly where he wanted me to be. He brushed my jaw with his nose. "I need you now," he murmured. "Oh my goddess," I blurted. All at once, he rolled and I was beneath him as he pressed my body to the ground. I flailed, but he grabbed both my wrists and pinned them above my head and pressed my lower body with his thighs. "And now you're defeated," he smirked. "You cheated," I grumbled. "You used your body to distract me." The way his body caged me, the way his scent wrapped around me like a drug, I was unable to think straight. He grinned wickedly. "I know." I opened my mouth to argue, but his lips seized mine. A spark of heat shot through my belly. Once he left me, he chuckled darkly. He buried his nose in the crook of my neck and whispered, "I think you want me now, Auren. I can smell your arousal." "I don't." "I did. You have a problem." "Maybe," he shrugged, "but so do you, love." His lips brushed the corner of my mouth in a teasing way. "Careful, little wolf," he said. "Challenge me too much, and I just might take you right here in the middle of the training grounds." "Oh my goddess, shameless!" Lucien POV. Her face burned as she shoved at my chest. "Get off!" I laughed, but obeyed her. As I stood up, I offered her a hand. She took it and stood up as well. Her arousal was now thick in air, and the werewolves around us must have smelled it already. But I loved that it was me who elicited that fucking intoxicating arousal. Fuck, I wanted her so much. My gaze followed her as she dusted herself. I couldn't help smirking, and I was utterly unrepentant. "Another round?" I asked, my eyes gleaming with desire. She narrowed her eyes. "You're infuriating. And you are adorable when you pout." She grumbled, but her face heated up more deliciously. Over the next day, though she went for training to the arena, I couldn't help myself and would go and watch her. My focus on the pack business was dwindling. All I wanted was to rut her. Remus was going insane about her ever since he had marked her. Initially, he was not happy and restless when he hadn't marked her. Now he was restless because he wanted to rut her all day long. He had nodded in her, but the fucker was demanding to nod again. "We have to make her pregnant," he growled. "I want my pup in her." "Be patient, Remus," I tried to reason with him. "Let her get into heat." "You don't understand," he snapped. "We have to be around her. There are so many unmated wolves. Auren is so beautiful that they all try to seduce her." "You're paranoid," I said, rolling my eyes. "I don't care. I want to go to my mate and not inside her." The shameless bastard didn't even hide his intentions. In front of her, he was like a puppy, purring while wagging his tail. But with me, he was always in his alpha mode. There was no way that I could stay in the office or handle any pack matter. To be honest, I wanted to put my pup inside her womb. So when I reached home, the first thing I did was to go to the bedroom. But she wasn't there. Her scent lingered strongly in the air. I followed her and found her in the kitchen with Vivi and Tom. She was making lunch for me, looking satisfied. Auren loved cooking, and I wanted to see her pregnant and barefoot in my kitchen or home. Remus purred as he pushed me to her. Despite the audience, I grabbed her waist from behind and kissed her ear. "I need you, Luna." She giggled, turned and covered my face with batter. I picked her up in my arms and she wrapped her legs around me. As I carried her toward our bedroom, she licked the batter off my face. "I need you so much," I said, desperation lacing my voice. Usually I blocked my mind, but when Tyrion tapped on the shield, I opened it for him. "Alpha Lucien, there's a ruckus in the dungeons. Julie has gone wild and she is demanding an audience from Luna Auren." "Ask her to go fuck herself," I growled as I lowered Auren. "What is it about?" Auren asked through the mind link. My eyes widened because I had forgotten that she could now hear us. "Girl, you need to keep your shield up," I warned her. "I always keep it up, but I can hear what you say sometimes. Actually, all the time." She shrugged. My eyes bulged. "Really?" "Yup. So now why does Julie want to see me?" "She needs your audience, Luna," Tyrion said through mind link. My patience was thinning like a stretched wire when it came to the traitors. And Julie, she was the biggest of them. Before I could say anything, Auren exhaled slowly. "I'll meet her." "You don't have to, Auren," I protested. "I don't like her, and I intend to fucking kill her." Auren clenched her teeth. "I want to listen to her. My stubborn Luna." 20 minutes later, we were in the meeting room with council members. Julie walked into the room with guards, her wrists shackled. She looked disheveled, yet her eyes burned with fury. A growl ripped from my throat, forcing her to look down. "What do you want from me?" Auren asked stubbornly. Julie said, "I want to invoke the ancient trial of the dungeons." The room fell into stunned silence. I clenched my jaw as I froze. That law hadn't been used in centuries. In it, if a prisoner could defeat the Luna, they could walk free. It was a trial meant for war-era captives, not for traitors who plotted against their alpha. "I won't grant it," I shouted. "In fact, I am going to fucking kill you now." Julie flinched and stepped back. "This is my right, Alpha Lucien," she murmured. "You're saying you want to fight me?" Auren asked, her voice cool and calm, but I could feel fire underneath it through our bond. Julie's eyes lit up. "Yes." A muscle ticked in my jaw. "I won't allow this. She isn't fighting you. If she has to fight, she will fight me." "That's not how the law works," Julie blurted. My vision turned red. I was this close to snapping her neck, law be damned, but before I could, Auren stepped toward her. "I accept." The room erupted with protests. I turned to Auren, furious as hell. No, she met my gaze with confidence. She challenged me. Then she looked at Julie. "See you in an hour, Julie." Julie's lips curled up wickedly. "See you, Luna." As soon as she left, I growled. "This is archaic law. It can't be used now." "The thing is that we never had a Luna before. That's why it has gone unnoticed," a council member pointed out. "But Julie has gone too far. You have to punish her. She just can't challenge our Luna." I wanted to go to the dungeon and tear her apart. I punched the table in frustration. "Don't worry about me, Lucien," Auren said stubbornly. "I can take care of myself." At the end of the hour, we were all in the front garden of my house where Julie chose to fight. Auren looked impatient. Fierce, untamed, mine. My eyes went to Julie, who stood opposite to her, her eyes fixed on Auren, filled with hatred. Remus prowled beneath my skin, restless and angry. How did Julie know about this law? It was a forgotten law. It should have been me doing this. But my Luna, she wanted to. And fuck if I wasn't drowning in pride and rage all at once. Infuriated, Tyrion volunteered to referee it. Both Auren and Julie came to the center of the garden. Tyrion said, "By invoking the ancient law, you both acknowledge that Julie will walk free. Do you accept?" They both nodded. Tyrion dropped his hand. "Begin." Auren POV. I knew that if Lucien wanted, he could have easily killed Julie on the spot for challenging me. But she invoked the ancient law. There were council members sitting around us. If Lucien had killed her after she invoked the ancient law, then I knew he would become extremely unpopular, not because he protected me, but because he didn't respect the law of our ancestors. I looked at Julie from across the garden. Walter was with me, standing behind me with impatience. Lucien was standing along with other council members and the elders right in front on a platform from where they could see us. Through the bond, I could feel his restlessness. As soon as Tyrion left, Julie hissed, "I was waiting for this opportunity, you imposter." And she lunged first, fast and brutal. I knew that she was a strong, trained wolf, but I knew me. I dodged her, twisting fast, my hair whipping around me. Julie let out a snarl and her claws came out. She swung them at my throat, but I moved back, escaping the impact by a few inches. I didn't give her the time to understand what happened, and I moved, landing a sharp kick to her ribs. On impact, I heard a crack that echoed through the air. The audience gasped, which was swelling by the minute. Julie staggered, but she caught herself. Blood came out of her mouth. She seethed and wiped her mouth. "Not bad, Luna, but this is nothing. You aren't as good as me." She came at me again, but this time she fainted right before twisting left. "You don't learn, do you?" I blocked the first strike, but the next one hit my ribs. That something inside me raised its dark head. My hands curled into fists. I was going to rip Julie apart. I absorbed the pain, gritting my teeth. I shifted my weight as Julie prepared for another strike. She launched herself at me and hoped to barrel in on me, but I sidestepped and she stumbled on the floor. This was the moment when Julie realized that she had messed up. I smirked and then I attacked. As if I was not thinking, my body moved fluidly with accurate strikes. I didn't give a chance for Julie to recover. I dominated the fight. Julie's defense crumbled bit by bit as I forced her back, step by step. I didn't know when my claws had come out until I saw claw marks raked across Julie's arms, belly, and thighs. Her breath tuned ragged as surprise flickered in her eyes. When she attacked me again, I could sense she was tired. She staggered in front of me. "Is this really all you've got?" I hissed. "You said you will kill me. Come on, traitor!" Julie snarled. "I'll kill you. And when you're dead, Alpha Lucien will weaken. It would be so easy to kill him. Guess what? There are wolves here who will take him down immediately like a mutt," she spat, her eyes filled with hatred. The whole place went still. My entire body locked up as my heart hammered in my chest. How could she even think of killing my mate? My mate? A shiver ran down my spine, and I was filled with so much loathe for her that something inside me snapped. The air shifted. A guttural growl ripped from my throat. It was deeper and feral, something I had never experienced. The air around me trembled. It felt like Sienna was taking over, and I allowed her to come out without thinking. There was a flash of light. Bones cracked and reshaped. Power ruptured through me. Fur rippled. A scream ripped from my throat, and then Sienna broke out from my skin. She let out a snarl. I didn't know how, but Sienna appeared taller than before. I looked at my paw. It was covered with silvery white fur. I heard gasps from all around. Her presence felt commanding, raw and untamed. Sienna looked at Julie, who had paled. Her blood drained from her face as she scrambled back. Sienna growled again in a menacing way, challenging Julie, commanding her to shift. Julie tried to shift, feeling Sienna's command to her bones, but she couldn't fully shift. With a growl, Sienna pounced. Julie wasn't even able to put her hands up in defense. She let out a blood-curdling scream when Sienna's claws tore into her. Blood splattered on the ground. Julie screamed again, trying to run away, but Sienna showed no mercy. She was ruthless and lethal. She lunged at Julie, pinning her beneath her paw. Her fangs gleamed, and in a flash of a second, she clamped them down on Julie's throat, snarling. "Mercy," Julie choked. But Sienna clamped her tight, in no mood to spare the traitor. There was a sickening crack, and then Julie's body went limp. Sienna left her and lifted her head to look at her mate with her muzzle stained red. Silvery eyes met the dark ones. Lucien looked at me with so much pride that he shifted into his wolf and leaped in the air to join Sienna. The two of us stood tall in front of all who were present. He licked Sienna, purring. Sienna licked him back. The crowd erupted all around them. "Alpha, Luna!" People cheered. "Goddess, she is so beautiful, so graceful. Our Luna has a wolf. Look at her fur, silvery, shimmering like liquid moonlight." Remus came to stand close to Sienna, his head held high in pride. Tyrion must have heard what Julie said about some wolves that were present in the audience, ready to kill Lucien. He ordered the warriors to strip search every wolf out there, and then interrogate them. Remus nudged Sienna with his muzzle to walk inside, but she wanted to go for a run. With one last look at Julie, who was lying dead in a pool of blood, she leaped toward the forest surrounding the pack. She didn't feel any remorse for the traitor. Instead, she felt victorious. With Julie gone, she felt like a weight had lifted off her mind. Remus followed her, and when Tyrion tried to come as well, Remus stopped him. The two of us ran toward the forest, because I knew that Sienna wanted to be with her mate alone in her wolf form. This was the first time she had shown herself to him. Third POV. The moment they were deep into the forest, Sienna slowed down her pace. Remus couldn't help but look at her, mesmerized by her silvery coat that shimmered in the light and her silvery eyes that seemed to be glinting. It was ethereal, outworldly, and a stark contrast to his massive, dark form. She turned to face his. Remus also stopped in front of her. His molten honey eyes were burning with possessiveness. He had watched his mate in her human form from within Lucien for so long, felt her presence all the time, and had craved her nearness. But now here she was, standing in all her wild beauty. Her scent was wrapped around him, calling him, and all he wanted was to roll himself in her scent. His chest rumbled with an approving growl. Sienna's ear flicked back slightly as she whimpered, acknowledging her beautiful wolf mate for the first time. Remus was taller than her, and his dominance was rolling in waves. It would have been suffocating for any other wolf, but for her, she wanted to submit to him. She wasn't afraid of him. Instead, his persona, his dominance, brought a spark inside her. She took a step forward and brushed against him. Her muzzle trailed along his thick, silky black fur. Remus stiffened because he had never been touched by a she-wolf in such an intimate manner. He hadn't allowed any she-wolf to come near him. But now, he was retraining himself for the fear that he might scare her away. He let out a deep growl. When she nipped at his flank, he nipped at her scruff. Sienna whimpered and he froze, restraining himself to the level that his body trembled beneath the force of his own need. So the big, bad, massive wolf had finally fallen down, and he loved it, craved it, was proud of it. Sienna responded with a playful snap of her jaws. She darted around him as if testing and teasing. Remus let out a sound that was more of a chuckle than a growl as he watched her closely, circling around him, challenging him, inviting him. Then with one last look, she darted off toward deep forest as if asking him to follow her, and Remus complied. They ran for hours, with Remus always behind her, watching her carefully. There was not a beast in the forest who would dare to attack his beautiful mate when he was with her. They ran until evening gave way to night. The night air was crisp as it carried the scent of pine and damp earth. Sienna leaped over a fallen log. Remus followed her. They ran together, weaving through the towering trees and thick underbrush, over the stream and over the dried leaves. The world around them blurred. This was the first time Sienna felt so free. The wind whipped through her fur, cooling the heat from the morning event. They sprinted deeper into the wilderness, onto the rolling hills. Freedom never felt this good. At the crest of a hill, she paused, allowing herself to take the breathtaking view. Her senses were never this sharp. She could smell the river that was winding at the foot of the hill, with the moon glowing on its surface. The tall grass swayed in a gentle breeze. Remus came to stand beside her. Not once did he urge her to submit to him. He nudged her playfully, wondering if she was tired and wanted to go back home. But what she did next took him by surprise. She turned to him and lowered her front in a playful bow. He lunged at her. Their bodies collided in a heated tangle. She twisted beneath him with a yip. Remus pinned her easily, his larger form covering her. He grazed his teeth along his mark in a possessive gesture. She whimpered beneath him in pure submission. He growled low, barely able to hold himself back. Sienna turned back. She walked a few steps, then she looked back at him over her shoulder and presented herself to him. Inside her, he stilled for her moment because on an instinct, his knot swelled. This time, Sienna didn't writhe in pain. He licked her lovingly, purring as his tail wagged. He was the luckiest wolf in this world. They didn't return immediately. They stayed in the forest, undisturbed by the people around them in their own blissful world. It was rare that they had such moments. But it was their first time in their wolf forms, and so this was special. This was something they were both looking forward to. Remus was, after all, on a breeding spree. He wanted his mate to bear his pup because ever since he had seen her, he was obsessed with making sure that she was his in every possible way. He decided to knot inside her and keep her stuffed. 3 rounds weren't enough. He didn't leave an opportunity to mount her. Toward dawn, Sienna was pretty tired. So when she stopped between tall grass on soft earth and sprawled on it, He too sat down beside her. But as she slept, he didn't fall asleep, keeping a guard on her. They returned long after the morning sun had spilled its golden rays in the sky. Remus guided her back in their room from the back side of the manor. He inhaled her deeply over there and knew that he had to intensify his efforts in making her pregnant. Suddenly, Auren caught her belly. She dropped on the floor, her body convulsing with intense heat and pain. Third POV. Bram was lying in his dimly lit room, clenching and unclenching his fists. He felt suffocating, wrapped in bandages. Restlessness and anxiety had become constant in his life now. Just a few days ago, ever since he had returned from the High Council, one of the powerful wolves in his council had challenged him, because he had sensed that Bram's wolf was no longer with him. Bram had difficulty in fighting off the council members. Even without his wolf, he was strong, but he had so many injuries all over his body that he knew that it would take at least a week before he recovered. His wolf, his ever-present companion, was gone. He vanished the moment that vicious, evil bitch Auren let Lucien sink his fangs into her neck and mark her. Shock wasn't even the word to describe what he felt at that time. He was stunned. Lucien happened to be her second chance mate. A feral snarl ripped from his throat, but it didn't have the power it used to have. It was empty, hollow. Seeing Auren marking him was the last straw to his wolf. His wolf was already slipping away, growing weaker with each passing day, with Auren defying me. When he had gone to meet her for the wedding at Lucien's pack, she seemed to pull away from him. It hurt his wolf a lot. But now his wolf had completely retreated. There was nothing inside him. The absence of his wolf had given way to silence. Silence inside him was deafening. There was no restless pacing, there were no primal instincts and no talking to him. It was like his soul had left him, leaving him like a husk. He loathed Auren. Once an Omega, now she was reigning queen of the Alphas. She was the Luna of the Alpha of the North, an Alpha who everyone wanted to ally with. Not only had she outsmarted him, she had humiliated him in front of the High Council members, in front of the Shadowfang Pack members and his own Beta. The moment she marked Lucien, he knew that it was something real. He knew that he had lost her, and he had lost his wolf. Auren should have been his, but now she was someone else's. His stomach twisted with rage. He was enraged with Elder Peter, with Sable, with Lucien, but he was mostly furious with Auren. How dare she reject him? How could she easily replace him? His lips curled into a sneer. If I can't have you, Auren, I will see to it that you suffer. And I'll be the one who will make you suffer. I'll drag you back to the Crimson Howl Pack with your heir. His thoughts went dark as vengeance simmered in his chest. That fucking Omega was smarter than him. A sharp knock at the door snapped him out of his dark thoughts. Enter, he growled, furious that earlier he could smell who was at the door, but now he didn't know who it was. With so many injuries in his body, he winced even when he turned his face to look at the person who came in. Maris stepped inside. Bram, how are you? She asked, hurrying to him. But the look in her eyes wasn't that of worry. Instead, her eyes gleamed with satisfaction, like she was happy. She was dressed in a red dress, the color of which matched the color of blood and bruises on him. Poor Bram, she purred as she came closer. You look positively pathetic. He gnashed his teeth. He knew that she had come to make a joke out of him. What the fuck do you want, Maris? He asked. She skicked, sitting at the edge of his bed. I told you not to go there, but you didn't pay attention to my words. Now look what has happened to you. You are no more an alpha. You don't have a mate. You don't have a wolf. Your future is bleak. There are many wolves who now want to challenge you, including your beta, Josh. He wasn't surprised. It was a matter of time. Did you come here to insult me? He growled. You may leave. She sighed and shook her head, still so arrogant. She looked straight in his eyes and said, You still have one way out of this mess. His eyes narrowed. Spit it out. He really wanted to go back to what he was, and he was desperate. She chuckled. Marry me. His body stiffened. She was the last woman on this earth who he wanted to marry. But that was before Auren. He had shunned her before leaving, saying that when he returned, he would be with Auren. So he was sure that she hated him. And the only reason why she was in his pack until now was because she wanted to see his downfall. But he never expected her to offer this solution. So naturally he blurted, "What?" She leaned in, trailing her fingers over his leg. "Think about it, Bram. Without your wolf, will you be able to survive in this pack? You don't have the strength to challenge anyone in your pack, let alone challenge Lucien." She dropped her voice and added, "Not that you would win against him." She tilted her head. "But with me, with my connections, my resources, you can rise again." He clenched his jaw. He didn't like Maris at all because it was her who had pushed him to trade Auren for an alliance. She was like a viper who slithered where there was power, and she was ready to strike when it suited her ambitions. But she wasn't strong alone. She always needed an alliance, and without his wolf, he was as good as dead. When he didn't reply, she said, "Face it, Bram, you need me. You need the power that comes with me because I am the daughter of the Alpha of the Iron Fang Pack." He studied her as his mind raced. He knew that what she was saying was the truth. But what he couldn't understand was why she was interested in marrying someone who didn't have a wolf. Well, it wasn't his problem as long as she was interested. Marrying her was a means to an end. Even though Auren had taken everything from him, he didn't want to be cast aside like a rogue. "And what would you get out of this?" he said, his lips lifting into a frown. She smiled. "A second chance to be a Luna." Bram exhaled slowly. So she wanted to be his Luna. Well, he would play her game for now, but in the end, he would have his retribution. Even it meant setting the entire world on fire. He couldn't waste an offer that was lying at the table. He wasn't so stupid. "Okay," he breathed. She chuckled, her face showing victory. "Great, I'll marry you in 2 days from now. It's stupid to wait for the full moon." He gave her a tight nod. She got up and came close to him. "I hope you heal in 2 days, Bram." Saying that, she leaned over him and kissed his cheek. Then she turned sharply and exited. As she left, Maris's chest filled with satisfaction. She played her game well. Auren POV. "I could barely make it to the bedroom before the first wave of pain hit me. I thought it was simple exhaustion. When I shifted, it started as a dull ache in my core. I thought it was manageable, but within seconds it turned into fire. My knees trembled and a jolt of fire shot up my spine. I gasped, clutching my stomach. My nails dug in my skin as another wave of heat rolled through my body, leaving me breathless. I screamed as pain intensified and my vision blurred at the edges. Remus let out a deep, menacing growl as he watched me. "Lucien," I called him, but Remus refused to shift. His fur bristled as his amber eyes locked on me. Vivi came running in the room. "Luna Auren?" she raped. Remus growled at her as well. She froze, her blood draining from her face. "Alpha Lucien," she said in careful words. "Luna Auren needs help." Remus studied her with his head dipped low, like he could rip her into pieces if she touched me. "Please, Remus," I begged. "Let her come." Remus growled again, but he stepped back. Vivi didn't dash to me, not wanting to challenge Remus. Very slowly, she made her way to me. "Luna Auren, let me help you." She took my arm and circled it around her shoulder, helping me to stand up. "Ah," I groaned. "Just come with me," Vivi said and helped me to bed. Once I was settled, I realized that I was covered with sweat. Vivi clenched her jaw. "What is happening to me, Vivi?" I asked. "Is my stomach upset or what? There's a terrible pain." She chuckled, which I found very odd. "Luna Auren," she said, "you are on heats." My eyes widened in surprise. "Heats?" She nodded and then glanced at Remus, who was watching us ferociously. Then in a low voice she said, "This is the time when she-wolves have periods. They are most fertile after it, and it is possible that you may feel changes in your body. But one thing is for sure, Alpha Lucien won't leave by your side, and if any other male wolf, mated or unmated, comes your way, he is going to kill them." I gasped. "What?" My eyes darted to Remus, who growled dangerously. He heard what Vivi said, but why did I feel like he already knew I was on heat? His primal instincts would drive him to be possessive about me. Remus's thoughts pulsed through me, though too animalistic to form into words, but they meant, "You are mine." "I'll get a nice chicken soup for you," Vivi said. "I'd suggest that you take a bath. It's going to help you. You are covered in sweat." Gosh, I needed a bath so badly. "Okay." As Vivi left, I darted a look at Remus and said, "I need to talk to Lucien." But he didn't shift. It was like he refused to give control to Lucien, refused to leave me unprotected. Lucien POV. She was vulnerable, weak from her heat, and in this state, she was a beacon to every unmated wolf in the pack, though they wouldn't dare to come close to her. But I knew the wolves. The moment they smelled a she-wolf was on heat, their instinct to mate with her made them crazy. Some could challenge me just to have a chance to mate with her. I wanted to come out and be there for her, but Remus just wouldn't let me. The fucker had gone all feral the moment he realized that outmate was on heat. Auren asked him for me, but he just pushed me down further. His primal instincts were to chase away any fucking male wolves, even though none would dare to come in his vicinity of Auren's. He was pressing me so down that I had difficulty in opening my mind link with Tarian. "Make sure that no wolf is allowed in the house," I said. "Auren is on heats. Remus has gone feral." "Whoa," Tarian responded. "What do you think will happen to an alpha wolf like him when his mate is on heats?" He chuckled. "I'll remove the guards from your home, and that too." When Auren went to take a bath, Remus stalked around the perimeter of the house. Muscles coiled as he snarled at anyone who he remotely thought of as a challenge. By the time an hour was over, every male wolf in and around the house had fled. The scent of her heat was thick in the air. It was heady, intoxicating. Remus forced himself to breathe through his mouth to dull his instincts to rut her, take her, but his instincts had flared. They were at their prime. Rut her, take her, breed her. He came back to the bedroom where he found Auren on the bed, sleeping after taking a bath. She was sleeping, so he came to lie down beside her. She needed him. As if on instinct, she turned toward him and curled into him. He put his paw over her, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. There was no sleeping today or tonight. He didn't know for how long she would remain in heat, but he was not going to leave her side, or give way to me. This was his time. No one else could touch her, except Vivi. No one else would hear the sounds she made. No one else would fill her. Auren whimpered as another wave of pain hit her. "Nest. I need to make a nest," she said. Remus couldn't understand what she was saying, but he licked her to alleviate her pain. "Let me come out," I urged Remus. "No," he growled at me. "My mate is in heats. I will stay with her." "Don't be mad, Remus," I growled at him. "Don't challenge me, Lucien," he snarled at me. "This is the first time my mate is in heats. We have to breed her." I could feel how strongly he was retraining himself. Often he would shudder, restraining his primal instinct to take her. I saw many things in my life, wars, betrayal, death, but nothing had prepared me for the sight before me. She was a mess. Her cheeks were flushed, eyes glassy, and her lips were swollen from her teeth biting down in frustration. It was almost night when she finally got out of bed. Remus watched her as she looked around the room murmuring, "Nest." It felt like she wasn't thinking. She was acting on primal instinct. Her body was guiding her, preparing a place. Fuck. Something snapped inside me. My mate had stripped our bed of every single pillow, every blanket. She pulled the furs from the chairs and dragged them into the middle of the mattress. She whimpered softly, clutching the pillow to her chest before adjusting it on the side in the growing pile. She looked unsatisfied. "It's not enough," she muttered. "It's missing something." Lucien POV. The scent of her heat drenched into every fiber of Remus. I wanted her from inside Remus. "Remus, I know what she is missing," I goaded him, but he continued to look at her, his chest rumbling with a growl. Auren lifted the blanket on the left side and folded it to even out the nest inside. She ran to the wardrobe and took out another pile of bedsheets. She placed them in the center. Her hair clung to her forehead because of sweat. Suddenly, she clutched her stomach and then cried in pain, flopping on the bed. "Remus," she whimpered. "Remus." Immediately, Remus jumped on the bed beside her. She clutched his fur and curled into him. "Pain," she rasped. Remus didn't know what to do except he licked her all over again. "Remus," she cried. My body pounded with the need to pounce on her, to get on that bed and bury myself inside her, scenting every piece of fabric she touched. But I held back, growling and growing restless inside Remus. Because I knew at this moment, she wasn't just searching for comfort, she was preparing herself for me. The awareness sent a molten heat through my veins. Using his powerful paw, Remus pulled her closer, like saying, "Come here, little mate." Auren remained in heat for 3 days, and in that time Remus didn't shift back. He remained in his protective mode. He circled his room, his house and would sniff every room just to double-check if there was another male wolf. His beta, Tyrion, had done a good job in keeping them all away. It was on the third day, when Auren was sleeping, that he gave way to me. And oh fuck, I was breathless, shaking with raw desire and possessiveness. She opened her eyes and a smile ghosted her lips. "Oh baby," I said and hovered over her, my massive frame enveloping her completely. Her lips parted, making a breathy sound as our gazes locked. And fuck, that was all I needed. I dragged her against me, inhaling the scent of my heat-drunk mate, my female, the one who was created for me. "I missed you. The nest." "Yes, baby." Our nest was perfect. My hands traced her curves, worshipping every inch of her heated skin. The nest she had built for us, cradled us. The scent of her heat mixed with my own primal need was thick in the air, intoxicating. My chest rumbled with primal desire. When her flushed face tilted up to meet my eyes darkened with need. I cupped her cheeks, my thumbs stroking their softness. Her breath hitched as I pressed my forehead to hers. Our mouths were so close that our hot breaths mingled. "You're so fucking perfect," I groaned, gripping her harder. I let out another deep growl and tightened my arms around her. "I won't be gentle, baby. Not when I had to breed her. I don't want you to be." Auren was so exhausted that she went off to sleep in my arms. I allowed her sleep, but I was restless. In the morning, the sun rays filtered through the curtains, casting a golden light on her bare skin. Her warm body was pressed against mine. I slid my hand over her belly. She murmured something. I trailed a line of kisses on her neck, her breasts. She was half asleep, but so goddamn sexy. "Good morning," she said. "Morning, love. Ready for another?" Auren POV. On the fourth day, I finally had the opportunity to get out of the room and eat breakfast normally. "I have to talk to you, Alpha." Tyrion's voice came to my mind when Lucien was feeding me grapes. Lucien ignored his beta completely. I wanted to say something, but I waited for his response. "Fuck off," he growled at Tyrion through mind link, making me stifle a chuckle. How could you deter a wolf like Remus from being away from his wife who was in heats? Alpha Lucien, Tyrion said with urgency. "There is something about Sable. I have to talk to you." "Sable?" I said with my brows drawing together. "Let her go to fucking hell," Lucien growled again. "I am with my mate, and you are not allowed to come here." His grip on my waist tightened. Tyrion frustration was evident in his voice when he said, "I am not even coming there, Alpha. I am deep south in the forest toward the human town. Our chief tracker, Walter, has sniffed Sable here. We want your instructions on what to do." This was enough to get Lucien's attention. "Where is she?" he asked. "We haven't found her, but we are closing in." "I am coming. Give me your location." "No, Lucien," I protested. "Let Tyrion find her. You can't go there now. They are near the human town, and it is pretty far from here." He pressed a kiss on my temple. "I am getting that bitch. She is mine to kill." My breath lodged in my throat. Lucien was determined to go after her. He nudged me, and I stood up. "Please, Lucien, I don't think it would add value." But before I could say much, he was on his way out of the house. "I am going there, no matter what." Saying that, he shifted into his wolf and leaped out into the garden and loped into the forest. Frustrated, I stomped my way to the bedroom. He had gone alone, and I hated it. Remus was a formidable wolf, but going alone in uncharted territories was dangerous. Worry gnawed at my soul. I just couldn't think of anything else. He had rushed so suddenly that I was left fuming. The pain associated with heats had dulled, but my need for him hadn't. By the time it was evening, I found myself pacing the length of the house, still angry at the argument we had in the dining hall. He returned after dinner. The whole place was quiet with every Omega gone. As soon as he came inside, I stormed to stand in front of him. "You're reckless," I spat. While coming back, he informed me that Sable had eluded them. "Charging there alone? What were you thinking, Lucien? And you went alone. There are so many rogues out there." He stood in front of me with his arms crossed over his broad chest, watching me with an infuriating calm face. "How could you throw yourself into danger?" "I know how to handle things, Auren," he said in a low voice. "You have a whole pack at your beck and call, and yet you went alone." My throat choked with emotions. "You can't just—" Lucien moved. 1 second, I was standing in front of him, and the next, my back was pressed against the wall. My breath whooshed out of my lungs as he caged me. He grabbed my wrists and pinned them both above my head as with the other hand he gripped my waist. Startled, I gasped, "Lucien!" His lips brushed over my ear, making my pulse jump. My stomach tightened with the way he looked at me with a heated gaze. "Did you miss me, little wolf?" My thighs clenched, but he pressed one knee between them, parting them. "Leave me." His lips ghosted over mine. "Really?" The next second his lips crashed over mine, and I lost all control. "Mine," he growled, his voice thick with need. I barely had time to react when he lifted me, wrapping my legs around his waist. The cold wall behind me was nothing compared to the heat of his body. Auren POV. His intense need to put a pup in my belly had nothing to do with the fact that he wanted a breeder for his bloodline. It was because he wanted me to have his pup, to procreate. It was his basic nature. I stood in front of the mirror examining the bruises and marks and hickeys he had left everywhere as he lazily sprawled on the bed. And he had an irritating smirk on his face. His eyes raked down my body like he was appreciating his handiwork on me. Bastard. "Stop ogling," I hissed. He chuckled darkly. "Even if you take a bath, my smell will linger on you." "Yes, of course." I rolled my eyes. He shrugged just the way I wanted. "Shameless bastard." A knock rapped on the door. It was Vivi. "Alpha Lucien, the shaman wants to speak with you." Lucien's brows knitted. "Ask him to sit in the main hall." I turned sharply. "Does he want us to go to the Eldermere ruins? It's full moon today." Lucien's brows jumped to the hairline. "Oh, right. I forgot about it." He tossed the sheet aside and quickly got dressed. Kissing my temple, he said, "I'll be right back." "Should I come with you?" I asked, leaning into his touch. "No, stay here." Saying that, he left hurriedly. However, when he returned, he had a somber expression. "Shaman is asking us to visit the ruins. He says that it is an excellent opportunity." "Excellent opportunity of what?" I was confused. "I don't know," Lucien breathed. "But we will go at night when the moon is full in the sky." The thought of going there again rattled me. The last time I had gone, it was not exactly a friendly meeting. The shadow wolves hated me. There was so much darkness over there that it seeped into my bones. With Lucien too, the meeting was horrible. A shudder ran down my spine. "Should we drop it?" I asked, wary of it. He came to me and cupped my cheek. "I know you are scared, love, but this is important for me and my pack. Who knows that the curse ends here?" I took a deep breath and nodded lightly. As the Luna of the pack, I felt responsible, and as the first bride of an alpha of the Shadowfang pack in centuries, it was my duty. Tarion called during the day, saying that he was returning from the hunt along with Walter. There was no point in combing the area when Sable had run away. He also informed us that Alpha Bram was marrying Maris. "That's surprising," Lucien chuckled. I shook my head. After how Alpha Bram came after me, I thought he had discarded Maris, but this was definitely a shocker. They both deserve each other. Lucien looked at his phone and opened a picture. "They have invited us for their wedding," I scoffed. "I am not going. If you like, you may." "Of course not," Lucien growled. "They can go to fucking hell for all I care." I laughed. "But you've signed a treaty with them," I reminded them. "So?" He shrugged. "I'll send Tarion. Wait, no, I'll send Walter's dog's pet." "What?" I laughed. "Basically, no one is going. I doubt how many people will attend his wedding now that they are on my shit list." I lowered my face to my lap. "I feel that Bram won't sit quietly. He will come up with something." "Auren, he won't do anything to you now. He knows that you are well protected in my pack. If anyone harms you, it will be his neck that I'll grab first. So don't worry and focus on yourself." I took a ragged breath. I knew that Lucien had increased security around me. All the alphas of his ally packs had loyalty toward me, so Bram wouldn't have the guts to go against me. But he was a viper, slowly slithering and ready to strike when he got a chance. "What about Sable?" I asked, feeling restless. "That bitch managed to run away. We caught one wolf who was with her, but the rest of them ran away. I've put my people to track her." Along with Shaman, we both left for the Eldermere ruins past midnight. The moon was high in the sky. When we reached there, I saw the ruins. They loomed ahead, cloaked in mist. The air was heavy, thick with the presence of ancient. It prickled against my skin. Lucien held my hand as Shaman led us to the altar. "Stand there," the shaman ordered. Lucien's grip on my hand tightened as we went near the altar. It was surprising to see that the thorny vines over there had dried and were now falling off the pillars. The moon looked beautiful through the altar, golden and dazzling. "Take out your shirt," the shaman ordered Lucien. Lucien unbuttoned his shirt and tossed it aside. "Take out your dress, Luna," he said. Lucien stared at me as if expecting me to deny it, but I removed my dress and stood in my bra and panties in front of him. He took both my hands in his and said, "Don't worry, I am with you." I clenched my jaw to stop my teeth from chattering as the cool air hit my skin. Then they appeared. The shadow wolves. There was a hiss from the crack of the altar, and at first a shadow swirled over it. A shudder passed through me. Sensing my unease, Lucien pulled me against his chest and wrapped his arms tightly around me. Emerging from the darkness, the shadow wolves flickered like living smoke. The last time I was here, they had been restless, their howls tearing through the night. They were hostile. But this time, as they surrounded us, something had changed. They surrounded us, forming a silent circle. My breath caught when a massive form of a shadow wolf circled around us, its translucent form stretching and folding like mist. It sniffed the air, its golden eyes gleaming. Lucien's muscles coiled around me, and his neck muscles went taut with tension. I could sense Remus pushing close to the surface. Lucien let out a low growl in warning. The shadow wolf's form disintegrated. Another shadow came to circle us. The way it slithered over my skin, I felt like it was licking me. It entered my nostrils, withdrew, and then curled around my stomach. It hissed as it rose to my back and pressed me against my tattoo. It felt like it was reading me, understanding me. Then it left me and slithered around Lucien. After a moment of inspection, it retracted to the altar. More shadows followed, circling us, slithering. Lucien kept me tight in his embrace, tense. Suddenly, we felt a ripple of movement, and with a burst, all the shadows in the altar burst out. Auren POV. The shadow wolves swirled around us in a vortex of darkness. I whimpered as I closed my eyes and pressed my face in Lucien's chest. A chill crawled over my skin as they slithered around us. My breath got lodged in my throat, and instinct screamed at me to run, to shift, to fight, to do something. But my body refused to move. They circled my belly in eerie silence. My heart pounded so loudly that I could hear it in my ears, anticipating that they would attack me. But there was no attack, just a cold inspection. And then the shadows hissed. He accepted. He accepted the lowly wolf. Bridebane's curse. Nakia, Václav, Lucien Václav, and Auren Václav. The shadows left our bodies and retreated. They gathered over the altar, billowing like a living entity. "They have sensed it," the shaman murmured as he watched them. "The bond between you, its strength. They had expected the alpha to reject his lowly omega mate, to cast her aside as Václav had done before to Nakia. But you didn't. You chose her, kept her, claimed her, and now the shadow wolves see her as your Luna." Lucien took a deep breath in. "So is the curse broken?" Lucien dared to ask. My chest tightened with raw emotion as I finally looked up at him. All I found was pure joy and pure devotion. Then something else caught my eye. His thorn vine tattoos. They had once wrapped around him in dark, jagged lines, the ones that had mirrored mine on the back. Shock blasted inside me. "Your tattoos," I rasped. He also looked down at his body. "They are mostly gone." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Most of the thorny vine tattoos had gone, leaving fair skin in their wake. The only tattoo that he had now was that of a wolf covering his right chest and a few thorny vines there. That wolf was his real birth tattoo. He also looked at his torso. "Goddess, they are gone!" A shudder passed through his body. I sensed relief and exhilaration through our bond. It felt like he experienced a century of relief. For a long while, his eyes were glued to his body as if searching for tattoos, but apart from the ones around his tattoo on the right ones, there were none. He traced his fingers over the tattoos on the chest. The thorny vines out there seemed to move a little. His breath hitched and he stopped. The shaman took a step toward us, but stopped when the shadow wolves hissed toward him in a flash of a movement. "The curse has mostly broken," he said, careful of the shadows. "But I don't know why some of it still remains." He appeared irritated as the shadows swirled around his ankles. They inspected him, rendered him useless, and then retreated to billow over the altar as if waiting for something. I was so caught up with Lucien's tattoos that I didn't pay attention to them. I think it is time for us to leave, Lucien murmured. That's right, the shaman said. It seems they are satisfied for now, but we have to wait and see when the last remains of the curse lift. At his words, the shadow wolves hissed again. They billowed furiously over the altar and then disappeared in the crack below. I let out a rough exhale. Lucien handed me my clothes, and once I was dressed, we headed out. The temple was still covered in thick mist, giving an ominous vibe, and I realized that it was because of the presence of the shadow wolves, and for the first time, it felt like they were waiting to go. Don't talk about Auren's tattoo to anyone, Lucien warned me in shaman. I'm not sure how things will go now. A week later, I sat in the main hall, not feeling well. In the morning, I had puked all over the place and was feeling oddly lightheaded. I didn't feel like going for training or had the energy to stroll in the garden. We are going to the hospital, Lucien growled as he touched my head. I'm fine, I muttered, sighing. Vivi brought hot and sour soup for me. She placed it on the table and said, Luna Auren, you smell different. I cocked an eyebrow. What do you mean? She hesitated and added, I mean, you smell like... She looked at Lucien, who was glaring at her for no reason. Like Alpha. She blushed heavily. I blushed heavily as well because in the morning Lucien had filled me up with his cum. Gritting my teeth, I glanced at Lucien and he had this smug look on his face. Goddess, I wanted to wipe that look. Maybe you should go to the hospital, Vivi said in a low voice. Yes, I am taking her there, Lucien announced. He got up and called Dr. Elias to fix an appointment. An hour later, Lucien cut through the training and came to take me to the hospital. When we reached there, Elias made me go through a variety of tests. At the end of it, when we were sitting in his room, he smiled as he read the test results. His next words made my world shift. Congratulations, Luna. You're pregnant. My eyes widened. Pregnant? I was carrying Lucien's pup. Goosebumps lined my skin. A soft gasp left as my fingers trembled. I pressed my hand against my belly. The knowledge that our life was growing inside me filled me with indescribable emotions. In a flash of a moment, Lucien moved. He let out a yelp and was in front of me. He dropped to his knees before me as his large hands cupped my face. Now I know why you smelled different, he said, his eyes moist with unshed tears of happiness. His fingers slipped under my shirt. He brushed reverently over my stomach. You're carrying my pup, he murmured in awe, possessiveness lacing his voice. He pressed his forehead against my belly and encircled my waist with his arms as if he wanted to shield both and our pup from the world. My fingers went to his hair, which I stroked gently, lovingly. We are going to be parents, I said. He lifted his head and nodded, his throat bobbing. And I can't wait to see my pup. He got up and gave me his hand. I took it and he tugged me up. Then he looked at Elias and said, Thanks, Elias. You've made my day. As Elias laughed, we both left. It was a beautiful day for both of us. Yet through our bond, I could sense his restlessness. After our encounter at the Eldermere ruins with shadow wolves, we were both hopeful and cautious about our future. Was it possible that the curse lifted? Third POV. Sable ran hard in the forest, panting, her boots crunching against the damp forest floor. Twigs snapped beneath her, and her body was covered in sweat. She was exhausted, and her body was screaming in pain, but she couldn't stop, because if she did, it meant death. Alpha Lucien's hunters and trackers were on her trail. She didn't know how they found her. She was hidden deep in the forest after she had ambushed Auren and injured her successfully. Her friend had helped her in it. Julie had to take all the brunt, which was fine. After all, someone had to become a scapegoat for greater good. Better her than she. Sable was being chased for so long that if she ran even a few hundred meters more, she was surely going to collapse. So she removed her clothes, tied them in a bundle, and then shifted into her wolf. Her wolf picked up the bundle and started running. After she left Auren bleeding in that alley, she was sure that she had won. She thought that she had taken back what was rightfully hers. Her father always told her that she was meant to be Lucien's Luna, meant to rule beside her and not be cast aside like trash. Even though Lucien never really gave her attention, she was always there, lingering on the periphery, making sure that he noticed her. She was sure that in front of Auren, who was a fucking low Omega, he would see her worth, see that she had superior blood than the Omega. but the fucker fell for the Omega's innocence. According to Sable, Auren wasn't innocent. She was a moron. Despite her beautiful plan, despite how beautifully she had crumpled Auren beneath her claws, fate had twisted against her. Her escape was seamless. Her friend had easily gotten her out before anyone could realize what happened. She was standing at the periphery of the border, waiting for me and my friends. They all had laughed as they fled from the Shadowfang pack. She had been thrilled imagining Auren's cold, lifeless body. But what she didn't anticipate was that Alpha Lucien would come. He attacked her and injured her severely, but nothing was lost. He was just feeling guilty of leaving Auren alone. Once she died, Sable knew that he would come to her begging like a mutt. Her friend helped her spread the news that she was dead and had gone missing, but all the while, she was hiding in a cabin that belonged to her much farther away from where wolves could reach her. Sable had then played her own game. She had contacted Alpha Bram and asked him to meet Elder Peter. The plan was perfect. Everything was going in perfect harmony. She was sure that at the end of the trial, the High Council would pass a judgment against Auren, thought they would throw her in their dark, magic-ridden dungeons forever and kill her, and then finally she would return to her pack, victorious. People would be shocked to see her alive, but at least Auren would be dead. Then Lucien would have no choice other than marrying her. But everything went to hell. Instead of victory, she found herself holed up in a cabin after her friend stopped sending help to her. There was no food, no money, nothing. She just couldn't figure out what happened in the meantime. Why had her friend suddenly become so cold and distant? She wasn't even picking her phone. Bram also stopped communicating with her, which was strange. She waited for the news that Auren was dead, that Lucien would finally welcome her back to the Shadowfang pack as his rightful partner. But none of that happened. Instead, a video leaked. She still remembered the moment she saw it. She stared at the screen as her heart pounded in the chest. It was a video sent by Bram to her phone that showed that she was alive and kicking, and he had asked her who filmed this video and leaked it to the High Council. Someone had recorded them in the cabin. Her hands clenched into fists because she didn't know. How had they gotten that footage? And worse, how did it spread so fast on the day of the trial? Instead of returning home, Sable was going to be hunted, and Auren headed back home with more dignity than ever. A few hours ago, she smelled Tarion and his gammas. The bastards had already found her. She knew that they were going to take her for Lucien to kill her. She had to run away from here as soon as possible. But if all these friends also ran with her, she was sure that they would be caught faster. She knew how this would end if she didn't act fast. On the pretext of going out for hunting, she stormed out of the cabin. She heard faint snarls and roars far in the distance, and she fled into the dark. She didn't look back. She didn't care. Her friends were dead weight, and she wasn't going to let them drag her down. She ran for what felt like hours in her wolf form. She was completely exhausted and wanted to rest. Her wolf had also slowed down. When she finally emerged from the depths of the forest, she saw a human town. Tall buildings, bright lights, the buzz of cars and voices. She had successfully escaped. She shifted into her wolf, wore her clothes, and headed to the nearest building. But in her heart, this wasn't over. Not yet. She had lost her pack, her family, her home. Auren had humiliated her. Lucien had turned against her. And for that, they would pay. "I will return," she said, fury in her chest. "And when I will kill Auren and burn your world to the ground, Lucien." Tired and hungry as hell, she made her way to the other side of the highway. There she hid in a back alley of a hotel. She saw humans discarding food in the dumpsters. As soon as they went away, she hurried to the dumpster, opened the lid and fished out the leftovers. She ate it all greedily as she sat in a corner. Once she was full, she leaned against the wall and thought of her next plan. She had to entice someone to take her in so that she could rest well and plan revenge. She also had to find out why Bram stopped talking to her. But until then, she had to keep her identity a secret, for there were hunters hidden amongst the humans. Auren POV. 3 months later, I was getting bored. Lucien had stopped me from going for training. I went for the pack events only where my presence was required. However, I excused myself from the rest. Usually Aluna was supposed to go and bless every new pup that was born. But with me also being pregnant, Lucien had limited that tradition and ordered that all new moms would gather in the pack house on one day when I would bless them all. It was a relief for me. The pack members were very respectful toward me, and with time, things sorted out. They looked at me with reverence as their new Luna. It was odd at first, but I felt like I was falling into the role naturally. My protective instincts for my pack members were growing each day. However, amidst all this, the threat of me dying a few months later loomed. The bride Bane's curse hadn't fully gone. It was evident from the thorny vine tattoos that Lucien still had on his chest. The shaman had told us that the ancestors of Lucien were born with these tattoos, and they were linked to the bride Bane's curse. And that was why after Lucien married his mate, who was a lowly Omega, the tattoos disappeared slowly. The curse was partially broken. However, he couldn't understand why some tattoos still remained. What were the shadow wolves now testing? Were they not satisfied with our mating? What did they want now? I took a ragged breath as I closed my next romance novel, Wuthering Heights, and decided to go to the training arena, only to watch, not to fight or spar. When I arrived in the main hall, I heard Vivi and Tom fighting with each other as usual in their common language. I shook my head and continued to walk toward the training arena. I stood at the edge of the training arena as I watched the warriors spar. My fingers itched with the urge to join them. Two young fighters were circling each other, their muscles tense as they waited for an opening. The first warrior lunged forward, aiming at the ribs of his opponent, but the second warrior dodged him. He pivoted and brought his leg up to strike the first one's thighs. The first one hit the ground with a grunt. "No! No! No!" I blurted. "You are all wrong," I addressed the first warrior. "You left his left side open when you shifted your stance. Instead, you should have rotated your shoulder inward instead of leaning back. That would have kept your balance." The warriors looked at me with astonishment. "Luna," they both bowed to me. "You're right," the first warrior admitted. But before I could say further, a deep, rumbling growl vibrated from behind me. "You're not thinking of doing what I think you are you?" Lucien's dark voice came with a warning. I turned to see his striding toward me, his powerful frame radiating authority. Covered in sweat, he looked like sex on gorgeous legs, like a thundercloud. His dark eyes narrowed at me as he assessed me. I just couldn't stop my laugh seeing how he was on police mode with me. "Alpha Lucien, I was just watching," I said as he came to stand in front of me. He wrapped a possessive arm around my waist and pulled me closer. Tucking a strand of hair behind my ear with the other, he muttered, "That's how it starts. The next thing I know is you are using those weapons." I rolled my eyes. "You do realize I'm not made of glass?" He ignored me and guided me out of the arena. "If you come here again, I will wrap you in a blanket and lock you away for the next 6 months. I shot him a glare. "Lucien?" I heard others giggling behind us. Walter was standing near the ring, watching us with a smirk. Ignoring all of them, he pulled me closer and splayed his palm over my belly. "You're carrying my heir. No risks." Then he spoke loudly for Walter to hear. "If I hear even a whisper of her trying to train behind my back, someone is losing a limb." Walter coughed uncomfortably. I smacked Lucien's arm. "Stop being dramatic." He pressed a kiss to the top of my head. "Watch me, love." I sighed, but the way his protective and fierce attitude made me feel warm, it made my heart flutter. Later that evening, I lounged on our bed, reading my unfinished novel. I was wearing one of Lucien's oversized shirts with my hair open. I loved wearing his shirts these days because they were so comfortable and soft and smelled like him. It calmed my frayed nerves. I had stopped puking a week ago, but in the morning today I had puked again. Goddess, having babies wasn't easy. My boobs had started feeling heavier. Lucien emerged from the bathroom with a towel draped around his neck. His eyes landed on me and he padded over to me. He settled beside me and lifted my feet into his lap. He began massaging them. I sighed in pleasure. That feels good. You should rest more, wife," he murmured as he kneaded my soul. "That's what I've been doing. I wasn't allowed to train, remember?" I said in a teasing voice. He brought his hand to my belly and kissed me there as his hand roamed over me gently. "You've made me so proud, Auren," he murmured. "I can't wait to see my pup." I brought my fingers in his hair and raked through them as I watched him looking at my belly with pure love. "I'm waiting for you, little wolf," he said to our pup. "Here's an update. Your nursery is getting ready. I have bought a few more toys, have looked through best schools in werewolves packs and also across the world, and I've ordered some designer onesies for both of us." I chuckled. "Designer onesies?" "Hush," he silenced me. "I'm talking to my pup. Stop interfering." "I love you, Auren," he murmured and cuddled me in his arms. I let out a silent prayer to the goddess. "Please let me live. I want my happily ever after." The next day we were all shocked by the news Tom, the cook, gave us. Auren POV. The next morning I was seated at the dining table. There was an argument going on between Vivi and Tom in the kitchen. I shook my head. These two were always arguing, but since yesterday they had a lot of heated exchanges. I really couldn't understand much, but it seemed like she was really upset about something. Vivi stormed out of the kitchen, holding a tray of drunk shrimps and avocado salad in one hand and plates in the other. "He is insane," she gritted. I served myself shrimps and chuckled. "What's wrong, Vivi?" She shot a look toward the kitchen, but didn't say anything. She just placed the plates on the table and went back in. There was another round of argument between them, and this time, I felt like I should go and look into the matter. Just as I was about to go there, Lucien came. He dropped a kiss on my head and said, "What's wrong with these two today?" He picked up shrimps from my plate and popped them in his mouth before sliding in the chair next to me. I shrugged. "God knows," I murmured. "But they have been arguing since yesterday." Lucien looked puzzled as he listened to them. Vivi and Tom were in his manner for decades, so he didn't mind them shouting at each other. So he also started having breakfast with me, though I knew that he was hearing them. 5 minutes later, Tom came into the dining hall and bowed to us. "Alpha. Luna." Lucien turned to him with a frown. "What is going on, Tom?" Tom glanced at me and his lips curled up in a gentle smile. "My Alpha, I wanted to inform you that I wanted to step down from my duties." I gasped. "Tom, why? Are you feeling unwell? The hospital in our pack will take care of you free of charge." From the corner of my eye, I saw Vivi coming out and standing with her arms crossed across her chest. Her eyes were moist like she was about to cry. Tom chuckled. "No, my Luna. I am doing well." He shifted on his feet. I'm just getting too old for all this running around. I feel it's time for me to rest." "No," I rasped, my throat choking with emotions. Vivi's tears slipped out. "You old buffoon, who is going to take you in at this age? You don't have a family. Where will you even go?" Tom lowered his face, an expression of worry crossing his face. "I have a nephew who lives in the human town, 200 miles from here in the east. I'm planning to visit him." Lucien frowned. "I didn't know you had a nephew in a human town." Tom smiled sadly. "He is from the Iron Fang pack, but he is wolfless. Since he couldn't be of any help to the Alpha of the pack, the Alpha expelled him. Heartbroken, he came to me for help. I asked him to stay in our pack, but he simply didn't want to be around werewolves, so he went to the human world and has made quite a fortune. Last week he called me, saying that it was time for me to retire. He wanted to take care of me. His words made me so emotional that I put my hand on my heart. "He really loves you, Tom," I said through my choked throat. He took a ragged breath in. "He is a nice boy." I could sense Lucien's sadness through our bond, but he kept his face straight. He nodded solemnly. "If you want that, you can go. You've served this pack well, Tom. You will always have a place here." "And I'm going to miss you," I said as I stood up and hugged him. "I think all of us will miss you." Vivi let out a gasp and then rushed into the kitchen, unable to stop crying. "I don't think we will be able to find your replacement," I added. Tom removed himself and said, "Oh, don't worry, Luna Auren. I took the liberty to find someone new to take my place. She is a talented Omega." "Who?" I asked, bewildered. Lucien still looked calm. He really trusted Tom, and so did I. "Mirabelle!" Tom shouted. A young Omega stepped out of the kitchen. "She is a talented young Omega, Luna Auren," Tom said, stepping aside to reveal her. Mirabelle was striking. Her short hair was dyed purple with yellow streaks. Her jasmine scent was delicate but potent. Her eyes were a striking green. She had piercings on her lip and eyebrow. There were tattoos on her left arm that climbed up inside her sleeve and peeked from her neck. She had thick eyelashes and had dabbed a lot of foundation to hide her pimples on left cheek. Her lips were painted a cheery red. Wearing black jeans and a red shirt, she looked like a rebel kid off the block. But despite her appearance, she bowed deeply before us. Luna Alpha, she greeted us with flawless submission. She kept her eyes averted in proper deference. She is not from this pack, Alpha Lucien, Tom said, turning to him. But she is extremely talented. I found her working in an inn in the Blue Moon pack. She had made divine lasagna amongst other dishes. So I offered her the job over here. Tom pursed his lips. Though I took the liberty to get her here, you are more than welcome to send her back. Lucien studied her carefully. Does your Alpha know you're here? Yes, Alpha Lucien. It will be an honor to serve you in the pack. I vow my loyalty. Lucien glanced at Tom. Tom speaks highly of you. Mirabelle lowered her head further. He is too kind. I only wish to be useful in any way I can. Lucien looked at Tom. She will have to go through the verification process. Of course, Alpha, Tom replied. Lucien went silent for a second, and I heard him calling Tarion through MindLink. Tarion came in a minute later. Mirabelle's eyes flitted over to him briefly, lingering just a second longer than necessary. Tarion stood at the door, silent as he stared at her. He inhaled deeply, as if caught off guard, his body tensing. Even if Mirabelle noticed, she didn't react. Instead, she turned to Tom and said, "Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope I deliver." Tom chuckled, shaking his head. "You'll do just fine, Belle." Lucien looked at his beta and let out a low hum. Interesting. I also turned to look at Tarion. He was staring at Mirabelle as if the moon had just descended from the sky and taken human form. His nostrils flared and his sharp eyes darkened. My lips twitched. Okay. This was going to be interesting. I turned my attention to Mirabelle. "Welcome, Belle. I'm sure that you are an exceptional cook because Tom has recommended you personally. You can start your duty as soon as Tom leaves." "I'll be leaving in 2 days, Luna," Tom informed me, catching me by surprise. Lucien intervened. "Mirabelle, make sure that my Luna gets the best diet. As you can see, she is pregnant, and if I see any lag on your part, you'll be thrown into dungeons. No questions asked. Do you understand?" Mirabelle clenched her teeth. "Yes, Alpha." "You may leave," Lucien dismissed her. She turned and hurried to the kitchen with a huge sigh of relief. Lucien got up and gave a bear hug to Tom. "We'll miss you, old man." Then he opened his mind link with Tarion. "Verify her." Auren POV. After Tom left, the new cook, Mirabelle, settled well in her position. Vivi was having a hard time adjusting with her. I have no idea, but Vivi didn't like how poised Belle was. She whispered to me one day that Mirabelle acted like she was superior to all others. She barely talked with people around her. "But she makes good food," I said to Vivi. "Besides, if she doesn't want to talk to others, it's fine. She's doing her job well, isn't it?" Vivi bristled. "You don't understand, Luna. Belle doesn't talk to us because of her nature. It seems like she feels she is much above us to even interact. It's like she is walking with her nose high every time." I couldn't help laughing. "Vivi," I said lightly, "please give her time to adjust. You are so used to Tom and him arguing with you for every little thing that you don't want to accept Belle. Seriously, you are just driven by your bias." Vivi pursed her lips. She shook her head stubbornly and went back to the kitchen. I picked up my romance novel and began reading it. Lucien had gone to a neighboring pack for some pack business, and so I was really getting bored and irritated. It had been a week ever since Belle had come. She was fast proving to be a good cook with impeccable manners. Her chocolate pastries were to die for, and these days, with all my cravings growing, I loved what she prepared for me. I felt like she pampered me a lot, but in her own way. She was a no-nonsense girl, which was good, and kept to herself. Vivi had mentioned before that Belle didn't make friends or talk to other Omegas, didn't join their small parties or go shopping with them. But those were her character traits. How could you judge someone for their reserved nature? Besides, Belle was thoroughly verified by Tarion. She came from the Iron Fang pack, and her alpha was aware of her job here. However, Tarion ensured that she severed her connection with the Iron Fang pack and inducted her in ours. A soft knock on my room's door snapped me out of my book. "Come in," I said. The door opened, and I was surprised to see Belle coming in. She had changed the color of her hair. They were green now. but the more interesting part was her green lipstick and green nail polish. Even her eye kohl was green, like she was in some green revolution. She stepped inside and bowed to me. "Luna, if I may, can I suggest something?" I cocked an eyebrow. Usually no Omega had the audacity to come and talk to me. They stayed away from me unless I needed them. The guards would send them off. Only Vivi was allowed to meet me. But I guess the guards must have thought that she was no threat, and they allowed her to come to my floor. Besides, Tyrion was showing a lot of interest in her, so that would explain her preferential treatment. Not that I mind it. "Sure," I said. Her lips curled up as her hands fidgeted with her apron. "It's been a week since I have joined, but I don't see you going for a picnic. I mean," she licked her lips nervously. "I mean, I am no one to make suggestions, but still." Her voice trailed off. It was a great idea. In fact, I was so bored all the time that I couldn't help but agree to it. However, I knew that Lucien would create a huge ruckus if I went without informing him. "Thanks for your suggestion, Belle," I said politely. "I'll consider it." Honestly, I was so excited on the inside, but I kept a calm exterior. Belle bowed to me and left. I liked that she didn't pester me about it. When Lucien returned in the evening, I asked him whether I could go for the picnic or not. "No, you can't," he growled. "I won't risk you going anywhere." "Lucien, this isn't fair. I feel so bored all the time. A picnic is going to relax me. I also need an outing, some way to unwind. Sitting here all day long with a book in hand is not my idea of relaxing. I love to cook, but you've stopped me from that as well. What should I do?" Lucien blinked at me in surprise because this was the first time I really snapped at him. Striding across the room, he closed the gap between us and sat on his knees in front of me. "Baby, I'm sorry if I've made you feel like that, but I'm worried about our pup. That's all. Pregnant women go everywhere. They work, they cook, and they enjoy, not like me, who keeps sitting in her house," I whined. He tilted his head as if wondering what had gotten into me. I cupped his cheeks and said, "Please, Lucien, this is a small request. Let me go for a picnic. I'll go to a place of your choice." His shoulders slumped in defeat. "Okay, love, if that makes you happy, but you will go to the nearest meadow." I squealed in joy and kissed him on his lips. "Thank you." He shook his head as he chuckled. Then he took his phone out and called Tyrion. "Tomorrow, Auren will be going for a picnic. Make sure that she isn't alone. Ask the wives of the council members to join her, and also send Vivi and some Omegas with her. There should be tight security around the area. Try to create at least 3 layers of security, and I want you to go with her." "Yes, Alpha," Tyrion replied. There was a hesitant pause. Then he said, "Can we take Belle with us?" Lucien's eyebrows shot to his hairline as I started laughing. Tyrion had never asked for a girl in his life. I mean, he had never talked about his personal girl preferences with us, so this was really surprising. "Yeah, you can," Lucien said, totally astonished. The next day, the house was buzzing with excitement when I came down. I wore a yellow sundress, a hat, and sunglasses for the day. I saw Vivi chatting excitedly with a group of Omegas while Belle stood at the side with her head lowered. Today, her hair was again purple with yellow streaks. She wore dark purple lipstick and black clothes. She reminded me of a gothic doll. "Luna!" Vivi walked toward me with a big smile. All the girls were in their casual clothes and were really thrilled about the picnic. It looked like no one had ever gone for one before. "We all are so ready," she chirped. I laughed softly. "Then let's go." I glanced at Belle, who looked at me and smiled. An hour later, we all reached the venue, and I wasn't surprised to see that the place crawled with numerous warriors under Tyrion's supervision. Tents were set up for us. Tables were lined with cutlery and flowers decor. I sat in one of the tents along with the wives of the council members as Omegas arranged food, while some of them danced. Overall, it was such an interesting outing. Ladies talked about their pregnancies, how their husbands reacted, praised Lucien, and also how to take care of pups. But no one talked about my past, which was a relief. We listened to the music and danced. Honestly, it was so beautiful that I thought we should have more of such outings. From the corner of my eye, I saw Tyrion talking to Belle. But why did she seem nervous and reluctant to talk to him? Auren POV. I didn't make much out of it and resumed talking to others. When it was lunch, Vivi announced it loudly. Come on, arrange the tables, girls. Belle rushed toward Vivi to help her in arranging it. I noticed how Tyrion watched her like a hawk as she came toward us. I couldn't help smiling seeing his protective behavior. Was she his mate? If she was, then why was she so hesitant around him? It seemed like she wanted to run away from him. Maybe because Tyrion was a fierce beta. He was stronger than several alphas. Vivi was instructing all the girls to lay out the food on the table. Other women accompanied me to the table. I sat at the head of the table and watched them with pure joy. I couldn't help thinking about Bram and Maris. They had married, and they were rather low-key these days. There was a rumor that Bram had lost his wolf. Though I wished that happened, I was sure that they were just rumors. Maris wasn't the type who would marry a wolfless alpha. Did you hear about Maris? I overheard a conversation between two women. No, what happened to her? Asked the other one in a hushed voice. The first one chuckled. She went to the human town to get herself checked. It's been 3 months, but she hasn't become pregnant yet. Alpha Bram is on his edge. The second one let out a low laugh. She is a vile bitch. Her father was on the verge of expelling her from the pack, but she was saved in time when she married Alpha Bram. Oh, Belle came over with an assortment of pastries. Luna Auren, she said with a soft smile, I made some special pastries for you. She kept the plate in front of me. Would love it if you would eat them. My mouth watered the moment my eyes landed on them. There was a red velvet pastry, chocolate pastry, fresh pineapple pastries, and several others. That's really nice of you, Belle, I said, wondering if I was drooling visibly. Just as I was about to pick up one, Vivi stopped me. Wait, Luna, she rasped and hurried toward us. My brows drew in a frown. What's it, Vivi? I asked, not liking her interference. Vivi glanced at Belle and said, Alpha Lucien has asked me to get your food tasted before you consume it. My mouth dropped in shock. What? Vivi pursed her lips nervously. He wants me to test all the food before you consume it. Goddess! Lucien had really gone too far. Clenching my jaw, I muttered, And how will you do it? Vivi looked at Belle, who had for some reason paled. You eat it first, once you've eaten, and we have waited for 10 minutes. Only after that, Luna will eat it. This is absolute nonsense, I shouted. Vivi shifted on her feet but didn't dare say a word. Tyrion also joined us in the commotion. If Alpha Lucien has ordered it, then we will comply with his order. He looked at Belle and said, With a spoon, take a bite of each of these. I could sense his anxiety as he said those words to Belle. Belle nodded. She picked up a spoon from the side, carved a small slice from each cake, and ate them. There was tense silence for the next 10 minutes as we all watched Belle. When nothing happened, Vivi said, Now you can eat these, Luna. There were tears in Belle's eyes. I felt so horrible that I wanted to shout at Lucien for his stupid orders. Who would have the audacity to poison me? But my alpha mate was always on the edge when it came to my safety. Seriously, it was getting a bit too much, and I intended to talk to him about it. Thanks, Belle, I said as I ate the red velvet pastry. It is the most delicious pastry I've ever had in my life. I think my words lifted her mood. She grinned and blinked away her tears. I heard an audible sigh of relief from Tyrion. Ah, yes, I had to talk to Tyrion as well. The rest of the day went by so beautifully. In the evening, I was totally tired when I returned home. Lucien had arrived from his tour, and when I was alone with him, I addressed the issue. You are being paranoid about my safety, Lucien. Why did you order the Omegas to taste food before my consumption? Lucien was extremely tired. He let out a rough exhale. I ordered it for your safety, he replied. But who would dare to poison me? Nothing doing, he snapped. My orders are stark and clear. No one will mess with my orders, not even you. I flinched, swallowing down my throat. Seeing my reaction, he came to me. He lifted me in his lap and said, I'm sorry for snapping at you, love. Had a long day, but my orders remain. I curled my arms around his neck and buried my head in the crook of his neck. Darling, they all know that I won't be alive in a few months. It would be foolish of them to. He placed his finger on my lips. Hush! I don't want to hear that from you. You will long. You can't leave me alone. Besides, our tattoos are gone. There was so much pain in his eyes that I felt horrible for hurting him. I'm sorry, I said to him, but the truth was right in front of our eyes, even though we weren't acknowledging it. That night as we slept, Thoughts of our tattoos continued to bombard my mind. I was restless. At midnight, I got out of bed while Lucien was still asleep and walked to the balcony. The cool night air did nothing to calm my thoughts. My thoughts were interrupted by rustle of leaves and a low growl. It felt like a wolf was rolling on dry leaves. But when I pierced my vision through darkness, I saw a girl running quietly toward the forest. She looked over her shoulder with caution and then disappeared into the forest. It felt odd because the girl was none other than Mirabelle, Auren POV. For a moment I froze as I watched Mirabelle. I leaned further over the balcony railing and stared at her as she darted into the forest, the dark trees swallowing her. She had no reason to sneak around like that, and especially not at midnight. Even though my instincts screamed, and I thought I should ask Tyrion to look into this, I hurried back inside. My pulse quickened. What should I do? I should have gone back to bed. I should have woken up Lucien, but I didn't. On an impulse, I grabbed my robe from the chair. Lucien stirred in the bed, shifting slightly to the other side, but he didn't wake up. Guilt pricked me, but I knew that if I told him, he would let me out of his sight. And what if I was just being paranoid? Nevertheless, I had to follow my gut. As I padded silently down the stairs, I saw that the lights were mostly out, and other than a few guards on the night patrol, there was no one. I quietly slipped out into the cold night through the back door of the kitchen. The forest loomed ahead, thick and dark. I hesitated for a moment, but then my feet moved on their own. I was guided by my adrenaline rather than being guided by my logic. I sniffed the air for the scent of jasmine. It was there, but faint. As I entered the forest, it was eerily quiet. Soft breeze stirred the leaves overhead. I clung my robe to my body. The place was so quiet that even the crickets had gone silent. I moved carefully, my feet crunching softly on the fallen leaves. I sniffed the scent of jasmine, which still hung faintly in the air. She had gone this way. There was a soft rustle ahead. I crouched behind a thick tree trunk. I peeked around it cautiously and froze. Tyrion was ahead of me, following Mirabelle, and he was shirtless. Damn it! How embarrassing! How could I misjudge this? It seemed like Tyrion wanted her, and I felt like a bone in the soup. My cheeks warmed, and I hoped that Tyrion didn't look at me or sniff me. But I guess I was wrong. He snapped his head behind to look at me. I quickly ducked in an underbrush and rubbed some leaves over me to hide my scent. He let out a growl, and I realized that his eyes were flashing golden and his claws were out. I felt like a douche, trying to pry in his love life. I prayed to the goddess to send him away from me. For a moment there was no sound, but then I heard him running away from me. I breathed a sigh of relief and then hurried back to my bedroom. Obviously, when I arrived in the room, Lucien was fully awake, and he looked feral. "Where did you go?" he growled. "Shit." First I said, "I'm sorry, I sneaked out," and then I went on to explain what I did. At first, he narrowed his eyes on me as if very angry, but then he too burst out laughing. "You nosy little prick," he said as he picked me up and kissed my cheeks. Gosh, I blushed so much. I didn't know about Tyrion, okay? I mean, who the hell goes into the forest? Lucien took me to the bed. He lowered his voice and winked. "Have you forgotten how Sienna presented herself to Remus in the forest?" He emphasized on the word forest. I smacked his chest as my head flooded with those images. "Shut up!" We were in our wolf forms. His eyes flashed golden as his wolf reacted to my thoughts. He laughed and nudged me to lie down beside him. "Tyrion is interesting," he commented. "He has given me ideas." I gritted my teeth. Lucien wasn't going to let me forget this for a long time. For the next month, my diet increased drastically. Belle was making such good food for me that soon she gained our trust. Even Vivi seemed to relax around her. Sometimes Vivi would take 2 or 3 days off because she could fall upon Belle. As for Tyrion, he was getting more and more worked up. It had been 2 months since Belle had joined, but it seemed like she wasn't letting Tyrion come near her. I wondered if I should talk to her, but Lucien stopped me. "It's not your place to talk, Auren," he said. "They both are adults and need to sort out this issue." "But they are mates," I pointed out. Lucien shook his head. "I don't think so. Tyrion is attracted to her madly, but I don't feel they are mates. It's like he has fallen in love with her." "Poor guy," I sighed. Lucien diverted my attention by placing more mashed potatoes on my plate. Eat and forget about them. You have an appointment at the hospital tomorrow." We were both sitting in the bedroom. "Any news from Crimson Howl Pack?" I asked. He chuckled. "Both Bram and Maris are unhappy with each other. Bram wants an heir, and Maris is trying, so," he shrugged. "Not that I care, but I hope they get as lucky as me." He leaned over and kissed my forehead. "What if we have a girl?" I said, because I knew that the Shadowfang Pack needed a male heir. "Then she'll be as pretty as you, and as intelligent as me, to become the next alpha." I glared at him and slapped his chest. "Did you just say I'm dull?" "What?" He barked a laugh. "You're reading in between the lines." We heard a creak on the floorboard outside the room. Lucien paused, and his brows furrowed as he waited for the knock on the door. Instead, we heard retreating footsteps. He got up and dashed to the door to open it. Jasmine's scent hit my nostrils. But by the time he went to the landing, Belle had gone. He returned, scratching his head. "Strange girl." Third POV. After the entire day's work, she went back to her quarters, which were at the end of the line of the servant quarters. She chose this one specifically because it was a little secluded and close to the line of the forest. As she walked there, she noticed for the 100th time how Alpha Lucien had given nice accommodation even to his Omegas, something she would change soon. She would destroy them all. It was 10 p.m. and she was tired. She stepped in her room. She looked at the gauzy curtains through which moonlight filtered in and sighed. She locked the door behind her. The smile she had donned all day vanished the moment the latch fell into place. She locked the door, turned the key twice, and pulled the heavy curtains closed. The moment she was alone, her posture wilted. She had to change her entire demeanor, her persona, to fit in the role. It wasn't easy, but she was driven by the revenge in her heart. To reach this stage, she had done a lot of work, hoodwinked many, and suffered all day long, every day. The room was silent, except for the faint clicking of the old clock on the far wall. She moved toward the vanity in the corner. Her fingers trembled as she unpinned her black scarf and set it aside. Her lips pained as she removed its ring. She sat on the stool and stared at her reflection. She was still Belle, the girl with gothic vibes and jasmine scent. Her purple lipstick hid her dark lips, which were once rosy. Then she removed her eyebrow ring. She had beautiful, shapely eyebrows, which were now swollen. Her once curvaceous body was now lean. She leaned forward and reached out for the jar of cold cream. She applied one stroke, then another. She smeared a thick paste across her face, down her jawline and her neck. Then she wiped it clean with a linen cloth. The skin beneath was still smooth, glossy plastic. With a small exhale, she gripped the edge of her face, just beneath her jaw, and peeled. With a squelching sound, the thin silicone mask lifted, revealing the woman beneath. Sable. Sable stared at herself in the mirror for a long time, her chest rising and falling with fury that consumed her every waking hour. Her plan was perfect, but Auren had squashed them all. Being amongst the enemy was risky, but she took it. She was going to destroy everyone, including Lucien. To get to this stage, she had to reduce her weight, alter her appearance. Her face was leaner, cheekbones sharper, and eyebrows less arched. She rested her hands on her thighs, her knuckles in tight fists. "Soon, I'll tear your perfect world apart, and you'll never even see it coming," she hissed. "And when you are begging for mercy, I will sink my claws in your belly and kill that fucking heir of the Shadowfang Pack." She opened the small wooden case, took out a small vial of a witch potion she had bought from the black market, and drank it. The witch had warned her of side effects. "The potion is going to change your scent, make it authentic, but it will have side effects on your body. Your hair color may change every time you drink from a new vial. Your lips may turn dark, and your eyelids will become puffy, so you better be careful." And that's what happened. The moment she drank it, her green hair turned purple with yellow streaks. Her lips turned a darker shade. Soon she was sure that they would become black, just like her soul. But what she didn't notice was that a patch of her skin on the side of her neck had turned red with hideous black veins. Sable had gone to the human town, and for a week she was hunting to find someone who could take her in. She was ready to sell her body for that. She knew that as a werewolf, she had a better body than humans, and she could use it to her advantage. She worked as a stripper in a nightclub where she learned how to conceal her real identity with makeup. With whatever money she made, she started buying things that would hide her real face, including the potion. As luck would have it, she met Fred Danby. He was wolfless, shunned by his pack, and living as a model in the human town. And he had made quite a fortune. His looks, his wit, and his body were much better than humans. Girls drooled over him all the time. When their gazes met at her stripper club, he took an instant liking for her. Sable didn't see back after that. She used her body to charm him and quickly moved into his house, but all the while, she hid her original identity and scent. Even though she was with him, she plotted on how to get back to Lucien and Auren. Because of them, she and her family had suffered a lot. She had to return and exact revenge. An opportunity came when Tom, the cook at Lucien's house, came to meet Fred, who turned out to be his nephew. Tom wasn't feeling well, and she heard that he wanted to retire. "Why don't you take a rest, Uncle Tom?" Fred said. "You can come here and live with me. You've done so much for me. I'd love to have you here." This was her golden chance. She suggested to Fred that she could work instead of Tom. She had learned how to cook exotic dishes from her mother, only to be a good partner to Lucien. If she couldn't be his partner and cook food for him, then she could use her skills like this. Tom chuckled. "It's a high-pressure job, Mirabelle." "I know," she said, "but I can do it. Besides, I've been living off Fred for a long." "Shut up," Fred said and kissed her cheek. "You aren't going anywhere." She gritted her teeth, but she didn't say anything. However, she mixed a drop of wolfsbane in Tom's whiskey that night, and he became ill. A satisfied smile came to her lips. She knew how to seize the right opportunity. Fast forward, 2 days later, Tom took her to introduce Alpha, Lucien, and Auren. They were surprised by her gothic appearance, but they hired her. Idiots. They were fooled so easily. Everything was going on perfectly until Tyrion came into the picture. The bastard got lured by her scent. That night she had gone to the forest to buy more potion from the same witch who was passing through the forest and had called her. She had come to the forest, but Tyrion followed her. He had sensed the presence of a witch in the forest. Sable had to run away from there, using all her strength. She narrowly escaped Tyrion. The witch was gone, and so was her chance to buy it. Now she had to take a holiday and go to buy it. Sable was waiting for the right opportunity to attack Auren. She was forming plans on how to separate her from her pack. But the bitch had a lot of security around her. Even her food was tested before she ate it. Lucien had gone crazy over protecting her. And why was it that Lucien's tattoos were missing? One day when she was serving the warriors in the training arena, she couldn't help asking a pup about Lucien's tattoos. "Oh, that," the pup drawled. "We heard that he got a patch-up job over them because his Luna didn't like it." She scoffed. Soon his skin would be marred with scars. Auren POV. Next day, when I came down along with Lucien to the dining hall for breakfast, I saw Tyrion. He was looking slightly perturbed. Lucien sat at the head of the table after he made me sit on my chair. "What's wrong, Tyrion?" he asked as he served roasted chicken to me. Tyrion shifted on his feet. "I sniffed a witch last night at the edge of the pack's territory." "What?" Lucien growled as his eyes widened in shock. I jerked my head back, shocked as hell myself. He had gone inside the forest after Belle, not a witch. Tyrion took a ragged breath. He shook his head as he sat beside Lucien. I was on my usual night patrol at midnight when suddenly our chief tracker, Walter, smelled dark magic outside the north border. He called me on an urgent basis, informing me about it. I thought he was asking me to go toward Eldermere ruins, because that's where we smell magic, but he called me toward the north wing of your manor. When I reached there, he pointed at the forest. We split up and followed the scent, but by the time I reached there, the witch was gone. Even he couldn't find her. It was like she disappeared into thin air. I clenched my fists in my lap. Nothing was making sense. I exchanged a glance with Lucien, and he asked me through the mind link to stay quiet. "How can you be so sure that it was a witch?" Lucien asked. Tyrion ran his fingers through hair. Walter was sure that there was a witch, but yes, the smell of dark magic, like that of embers and smoke mixed with herbs, was thick in the air. I sniffed the scent and followed it, but I guess the witch was too clever. She must have detected us and took off. A muscle feathered in Lucien's jaw. Then he looked at me and called Vivi. Vivi! Vivi came rushing in. Yes, Alpha? She asked, wiping her hand on her apron. Send Belle here, he growled. Vivi stilled for a moment, sensing his anger, but she bowed and left. Tarian's brows furrowed. Why are you calling Belle? Before Lucien could reply, Belle came in. She looked nervously at the three of us. Yes, Alpha? She asked. Another surprise rocked me. Yesterday her hair was green, but today they were purple with yellow streaks. How was she changing her hair color so fast? Did she go to her quarters and spend hours dyeing her hair? And where were her lip and eyebrow rings? Why did you go to the forest yesterday? Lucien asked directly. Belle's mouth dropped as she paled. Alpha, she stammered. Her gaze darted to Tarian, and for a second I thought she looked at him accusingly, but the emotion changed immediately. Answer my question, Lucien growled. Belle blanched. I went after Beta Tarian, she blurted. Tarian's cheeks colored pale pink, and he rubbed his nose, lowering his eyes. Did Beta of the Shadowfang pack just blush? Why did it feel like he was hiding something? But you didn't know that Tarian was there, or did you? She looked at Tarian again. I saw him going there, she said, wringing her hands. Lucien cocked an eyebrow. He turned his gaze to Tarian and said, Did you see her in the forest? My husband was very intelligent. It was possible that he was seeing a connection between Belle and the witch, which was ridiculous. Tarian shook his head. No, he scratched the back of his neck. But her scent clung in the forest. So I did go after her after I realized that the witch wasn't there. Then he looked at her, and in a concerned voice added, You shouldn't venture alone out at night. It's dangerous. Yes, Beta Tarian, she mumbled. Lucien poked his tongue in his cheek. You may leave, he dismissed her. Belle literally ran away from there. Poor girl. I let out a deep sigh, shaking my head. Lucien instructed Tarian, Increase the patrol on the north side of the manor. Make sure that Walter takes rounds every day. Employ our best sniffers for the job. If the witch comes again, I want her caught. I will, Tarian said. He got up, darted a glance toward the kitchen, and walked out. This is concerning, I breathed. Lucien huffed. Strange things keep happening around here. He served me sliced fruits. There's a meeting in 20 minutes. Will you come with me to attend it? Yes, sure, I replied. These days he was taking me to every important meeting. I was chiming in my ideas to the council. Some of them were good, some not so good. But I was learning. Belle came out from the kitchen again with a cup of herbal tea. She had a worried expression on her face. My Luna, she said in a low voice, I prepared this calming lavender tea for you. Would you like to have it? She looked at me with expectant eyes. I pursed my lips and wondered if Lucien would allow it. Have you tasted it before giving it to Auren? He asked in a harsh voice. Vivi came out and said, Yes, Alpha. She had a sip of it in front of me before offering it to Luna. On her words, I took the tea and had it. It was sweet and it was superb. 10 minutes later, we walked into the meeting. But I don't know why, the words of the council blurred into a dull hum as I sat beside Lucien. My hand rested on my belly. A sudden wave of dizziness swept over me, and the world tilted in a heartbeat. I gripped the edge of the table tightly. Lucien's hand was at my back instantly. Auren? He rasped in concern. I'm fine, I whispered as I forced myself to take a steady breath. Just a little dizzy. Perhaps you should take a rest, Luna, a council member said. You're pregnant and you might be exhausted. Lucien's jaw tightened. He turned to the council and said, This meeting is over. Through the bond I felt his panic. Was this the beginning of my doom? His panic washed over me as well, and I looked at him with anxiety in my eyes. No one dared to protest. Lucien helped me up, and he guided me out of the meeting room. As we walked, my head against his shoulder, I caught the faintest whisper behind me. That's the bridebane's curse taking root. Poor one. She isn't fit to be our Luna. Yes, I hope she gives birth to the heir properly. Until then, my heart clenched. I turned slight, and all the council members became quiet. That night, I tossed and turned in bed. Lucien was curled protectively behind me, his hand splayed over my belly. The words of the council members echoed in my mind. Until then, I asked Sienna about our pup. How is he, Sienna? She stirred awake in me. She was protecting our pup from every harm. He is fine, Auren, she replied sleepily. But you should take care. Tears slipped out of my eyes. Was this really the beginning of my doom?